Hey everyone, we've updated our channel name from Chinese Novel Audio Wave to Chinese Novel Audiobook. Nothing else will be changing. We're still uploading a new video every day, bringing you the best Chinese novel audiobooks. Let's dive into today's story. 041 Please call me Director Knight. Quote. How did you see through my transformation magic? The short masked man turned into a beautiful woman in the blink of an eye. The first half of the sentence was still a man's tone, but the second half was the voice of the sexy Oni-san. Seeing Knight's firm words, Urtia lost the intention to continue pretending. I have a friend who is very good at transformation magic. Knight answered while looking at the other party. Urtia was tall and wore a white kimono with a very short hem, almost like a short skirt, revealing a pair of smooth long legs. A light yellow belt about the width of a palm was tied around her waist and tied into a bow behind her. Her right arm was sleeveless, revealing her delicate white arm. In addition, she wore a brown collar around her neck as an ornament. After listening to Knight's answer, Urtia filtered it in her mind. Demon, Mirajan. Speaking of the wizard who is good at transformation magic in fairy tale, it should be this one. Brother is really dishonest, is he lying? Urtia put one hand on her waist, obviously not believing such nonsense. She quickly noticed Knight's eyes. Some kind of eye magic that can see through transformation. As expected of a judge, you are well informed. Knight nodded and admitted that it was indeed the work of the six eyes. From the perspective of the six eyes, Urtia's magic power was very full, far more than Urza's current. What are you doing here? Urtia asked. Take a walk. Urtia didn't care about such a perfunctory answer. She walked in front of Dai Lionla, reached out to touch the cold ice, and talked to herself. 10 years ago, this demon ravaged the north and caused immeasurable damage. Thanks to a wizard named Uru, at that time, it was completely sealed. But this foolish woman also paid the price of her life. Now on this island, someone is trying to unlock the seal, and I am here to investigate this matter. I didn't ask you, don't I know what you are here for? Knight thought in his heart, but said, in that case, I won't bother you, goodbye. He was going to supervise the smooth progress of the moon drop ceremony, so as not to let Laxus destroy it. Wait, Urtia couldn't help but roll his eyes at him. This guy really doesn't play by the rules. Normally, as a wizard of a regular union, hearing her commentator say this, shouldn't he express cooperation? Work together to destroy the ceremony, prevent a disaster from happening, and finally establish a deep friendship. If you want to remove the evil film over the island, you need to destroy the moon drop ceremony that is going on at the top of the temple first. Otherwise, the evil will continue to regenerate. I think we can join forces. Knight paused and asked, who told you that you must destroy the ceremony? Don't you want to complete the commission and save those poor villagers? Urtia was a little confused. I can wait for the ice to melt and beat Dai Lionla to death with one punch. Knight left after leaving this sentence. Urtia looked sluggish. This brain circuit is really not something that ordinary people can think of. And it sounds so reasonable. Wait a minute. She hurriedly chased after him. It was rare to meet this internet developer, and she didn't want to miss the opportunity. Laxus walked in the forest, and the environment here was like a maze. Am I lost? He frowned and looked forward, and a huge rat was blocking him. Get out of the way, get out. The electric light flashed, and a lightning bolt shot out from Laxus' body, hitting the other party accurately. Ah, the rat was paralyzed by the electric shock, and its screams echoed through the forest. On the top of the temple was a spacious platform. A group of people wearing black cloaks, who looked like cult members, gathered in a circle and worshipped the moon. Not far from this group of people, there were 4 people without cloaks. 3 men and 1 woman. The young woman among them moved her ears and heard the screams from afar. It's Angelica. She recognized the screams of her pet. Invaders. Zero Emperor. Leon frowned and immediately ordered, you 3 go and deal with the invaders. I'm afraid it's another fairy tale wizard. Why again? Because they all paid attention to the last time Knight smashed the sky with one punch. After an investigation, they immediately understood everything. Now that there are uninvited guests on the island again, it is natural to suspect that it is someone from Fairy Tale. Yes, the three subordinates immediately took action. After they left, footsteps sounded soon. Solved so quickly. Lion turned around and saw not his subordinates, but a man and a woman, and his face changed immediately. Who are you? How did you get up here? Good evening. Knight greeted him cordially, and his eyes swept across the scene. Seeing that the ceremony was still going smoothly, he nodded with satisfaction. It seems that Laxus has not found this place yet. You are Counselor Urtia. Lion was shocked when he saw the woman next to Knight. As one of the 10 counselors who manage the magic world, and a beautiful woman, Urtia would appear in magazines from time to time, so Leon naturally knew her. He never expected that a counselor would appear on this island. Moondrop ceremony. Urtia pretended to be here for the first time, and pretended to be very similar. Sure enough, you want to resurrect Di Leon. Shut up. Knight glanced at her with disdain, turned to look at Leon, and pointed at a group of black-robed people. They are all performing the ceremony, why are you standing and watching? Quote? A question mark popped up in Leon's heart. Who is this person? Can I scold the reviewers? Forget it, since you have discovered me, I have no choice but to ask you to shut up forever. He snorted coldly and cast a magic with one hand. Ice-shaped eagle. With a wave of one hand, the frozen magic power suddenly turned into flying birds all over the sky, all attacking Knight and the other two. Knight's eyes focused, and the vibration force suddenly spread forward like a shock wave. Instantly, all the flying ice birds broke into ice chips in the air. Then, Knight moved his body and appeared behind Leon. He grabbed the back of the opponent's head and pressed the opponent's head to the ground with one blow. What? Leon was shocked. Teleportation. It was definitely teleportation. He didn't see any movement of the opponent at all. Not only him, but Urtia was also shocked. Space magic. Don't get excited. I'm not here to stop you from completing the ritual. Knight suppressed the other party with one hand and said, on the contrary, I'm here to supervise you. Please call me Knight. Your moondrop ritual is very good, but I'm not happy that you're standing aside and watching the show. Next, you should also go and worship. It will at least speed up the melting of the ice. Leon. The brain fell into a brief blank. What is this person talking about? This man and woman are not from the council. 04 to the first visitor of Deep Web, Ulu, are you a god? 4 quarters asking for flowers. What is your purpose? Lion was pressed to the ground, his face against the cold stone slab. Same as you. So, we can live in harmony and friendship. Knight slowly let go of him. He didn't know the moondrop ritual, so if he wanted to melt the ice, he had to ask a professional to do it. Lion got up, looked at Knight with a serious look, and then looked at Urtia. Do you also want to revive Di Leon? I'm not. Urtia denied it flatly. She is now a counselor, so she naturally couldn't admit it. She transformed into a man named Sarudi, and lurked beside Leon, just to use him to unlock the seal. Then, dominate Di Leon. Unfortunately, this identity was seen through by Knight at a glance, causing her to be a little embarrassed now. But Knight wanted the moondrop ritual to continue, which was exactly what she wanted. Therefore, Urtia would not stop it. Lion was silent for a moment, and said, it will take another day to unlock the seal. The enemy is strong and I am weak, so he can only obey the other party now. Everything will be decided after Di Leon is resurrected. So, you join the ceremony as well. The more people, the more efficient it is. Knight said. I understand. Leon gritted his teeth and nodded, silently walked to the black-robed man to join the ceremony, and knelt down to worship the moon. At this time, a roar came from the forest in the distance. Knight's 6 eyes saw Urza and Juvia, who were fighting with Leon's 3 subordinates. He immediately sent a private message. Sigma man. Don't kill them, Urza, bring them to the temple. Closing square bracket. Not long after, There were 5 more figures on the top of the temple. Leon's 3 subordinates were named Yuka, Toby, and Sharia. The 3 were originally going to find Laxus, but they encountered Urza and the others near the temple, were beaten up, and brought back. At this time, the 3 knelt beside Leon and joined the moon drop ceremony together. Knight, what's going on? Urza was confused. Knight explained casually. Just kill Lionra, otherwise someone else will try to revive it next time. The geographical location of this island is special, which is very suitable for the moon drop ceremony. I don't want to do it again. Urza thought about this reason and accepted it. You have a point, but with the strength of a few of us, can we win? We will win. After saying that, he felt that this was not auspicious, and said, isn't there another counselor? Knight pointed to Urtia, who was watching strongly. Seeing that several people looked at her, Urtia had to shake her head. If I fail, I will rescue you all, and let the council solve the rest. This was half true and half false. Save, of course she will save. But when the council knew about this, Lionra had already been transferred by her. At that time, she would push all the blame to Knight. Who let this be D say she was, Y. Where is she Y? She is still a pure 18-year-old girl. Knight couldn't help laughing. To be honest, it was a really interesting scene. Everyone had their own agenda. Leon and his gang wanted to challenge Lionra. Urtia wanted to dominate the demon. And he, on the surface, said he wanted to completely solve the demon, but in fact, he wanted to melt the ice so that he could smoothly collect Uru's soul. They were obviously in different positions, but their goals at the moment were subtly the same. Continue the moon drop ceremony. Time passed by minute. Except for Laxus, who was lost somewhere, all the magicians on the island gathered at the top of the temple. When midnight came, suddenly, the earth shook, and a roar of the demon came from under the temple. The moon drop ceremony was interrupted. Leon was ecstatic. Lionra is resurrected. Then he left regardless. Lord Leon. The 3 subordinates quickly followed. Urtia's face was happy, but she quickly hid. Let's go and take a look. Knight closed the magic book and said to the 3 women. Everyone came to the cave deep underground and saw the resurrected Lionra turned into powder. Leon fell to his knees and murmured in disbelief. Lionra is dead. 3 years. 3 years ago, he moved Lionra to this island and continued the moon drop ceremony for 3 years. Now the seal is finally opened, but the demon inside is dead. So what has he been insisting on for these 3 years? Urtia bit her lip, a little hard to accept. That woman's magic actually killed the demon. Knight glanced at her and was happy in his heart. Mantis stalks the cicada, but the oriole is behind. You didn't expect that Lionra was killed by your mother. Urza was the only one who breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that we don't need to do anything, Knight, let's do it next. Break the evil film in the sky, and the commission will be completed. Knight nodded, turned around and left, without any nostalgia. As soon as he left, Juvia quickly followed. She had no interest in Lionra at all, and only had Knight in her eyes. Urza glanced at Urtia, turned around and left. Urtia took a deep breath, walked to the water step by step, and snorted after a long silence. Turned to Leon and his group and said, boring. Since you didn't cause much damage, I'll let you go this time. She was no longer in the mood. With a thought, her body slowly disappeared from the spot like a wave in the water. It was a thought body. Lord Leon. Hearing the shouts of his subordinates, Leon looked dazed. Now he felt extremely empty. I don't want to do anything, I just want to be alone. Don't worry about me, let me be alone for a while. Leon stood up expressionlessly and walked out of the cave in confusion. I don't know how long it took. Beside the stagnant water deep in the cave, a golden magic circle suddenly flashed. Night appeared out of thin air. Finally, they are all gone. Is it easy for me to collect some souls? Muttering in his heart, Night squatted down and put his hand into the melted stagnant water. Using 6 eyes to capture the flow of magic power, he began to collect the fragments of Uru's soul bit by bit. This is a big project. A wonderful world. Uru slowly opened her eyes. She was naked, without clothes on. Am I not dead? Uru touched her face. She had no concept of temperature, but she could indeed touch her body. She looked left and right, surrounded by a series of dense 0s and 1s. What is this place? The world after death? No, this is the deep internet, or deep web for short, and you are the first visitor. Accompanied by a male voice, a figure appeared in front of Uru out of thin air. It was a young man about 20 years old. Who are you? What is the deep internet? Uru frowned slightly, covered his forehead with one hand, and felt that his memory was a little confused. I seem to have seen the other person in his ice state. Hello, Uru. Knight smiled slightly. The internet is a kind of magic I created, and the meaning of the deep internet, you can understand it as the core area of this magic. As he said, he snapped his fingers. In an instant, the surrounding 0s and 1s quickly gathered, showing all the pages, functions, and everything else of the internet in front of Uru. In the forum, someone was posting. In the game section, someone was playing Fruit Ninja. In the chat group, messages were constantly refreshed. Incomparably complex information was flowing, and all of it was made up of only 0s and 1s. Uru looked dazed. What kind of magic was this? You resurrected me. She stared at Knight with wide eyes and shocked. The magic of resurrection, in her cognition, is a legendary magic. She has only heard of it, never seen it. No, I just collected your soul and put it into the deep web. Knight shook his head and admired Uru's body. Anyway, you should put on some clothes first. He snapped his fingers again, and a fitted blue dress immediately covered the beauty in front of him. Uru touched the extremely real dress in surprise. Created out of thin air. Is this person a god? The god of magic. Don't be surprised, everything is false in the deep web. For example, time goes backwards. Knight clapped his hands lightly. In an instant, all the information around him went backwards in time. Then he clapped his hands again. Everything stood still. Uru was stunned. This kind of magic had surpassed her cognition. She spoke in a respectful tone. Great wizard, I haven't asked for your name yet. Knight. 043 your Tamagotchi, Uru. Uru gradually calmed down and began to accept the current situation. She looked at Knight silently with her beautiful eyes. A handsome young man. No, considering that the other party can create such a mysterious internet magic. He must be a great magician who has already set foot in the abyss of magic. Appearance is just appearance. How can the actual age be judged by appearance? So, Senior Knight, you unlocked my absolute ice and collected my soul. What is the purpose? Facing Uru's puzzled eyes, Knight just smiled. Why must there be a purpose? He asked back. To melt the absolute ice, as far as I know, there is only the moon drop magic. Uru's meaning is self-evident. It is unlikely that there is no purpose for such a big effort. Could it be that this old senior has lived too long and is bored? Although it is not impossible, the possibility is too low. Knight shook his head. You probably misunderstood something. Immediately, he briefly described what Leon did. He is your disciple. In order to surpass you, he spent a lot of time melting the absolute ice, hoping to defeat Dai Lionra himself. But what he didn't expect was that the demon Dai Lionra had already exhausted his vitality in the long 10 years of being frozen by you. He died just after being unsealed. I just happened to collect your soul by chance. After listening, Uru looked dazed. This really looks like something Leon would do. Besides that, you misunderstood a little. Knight smiled and said, I'm not a senior, I'm not as old as you. How old was Uru when he died? He had long forgotten, but he was definitely older than him. Hearing this, Uru stared at Knight blankly, completely stunned. Younger than her age, not some old monster in the magic world. How is this possible? How did such a young wizard create such incredible magic? Even if he is a genius, there must be a limit. Could it be that in the years since her death, the magic world has developed to such a terrible level? After staring at Knight in a daze for several minutes, Uru finally came back to his senses. Wait a minute, let me slow down. So, Lord Knight, you collected my soul without any purpose. She changed the address from Senior to Sir. Uru is a particular person. After all, he is her savior. It is a bit disrespectful to call him by his name. To say that there is a purpose, it is not completely without. It is not bad to keep him as an electronic pet. Knight thought. Of course, this cannot be said out loud. Saying it out loud is a bit too low in emotional intelligence. Do you want to repay the favor? Yes. Uru nodded calmly, smiled slightly, and was full of charm. I was a dying person. Fortunately, I was saved by you. If I don't do something to repay you, I will be restless. As a woman who has died once, Uru is very glad that she was saved. Now that she is alive, although she has lost her body and only has a soul left. But she still hopes to repay Knight for saving her life. Seeing her serious expression with a hint of smile, Knight showed an admiring look. Miss Uru, do you know what your current state is? You can't leave the deep web. Once you leave here, the soul body without magic support will probably dissipate quickly. Of course, it's not absolutely impossible to leave. For example, clap. Knight clapped his hands. In an instant, the surrounding environment collapsed into endless zeros and ones. The torrent of data continued to fly high. The surroundings fell into extreme darkness. No, it can't even be called darkness, but nothingness. How to describe nothingness? People who are completely blind and can't feel any light see darkness. And if a person uses his nose to see the outside environment, he will get nothingness. Uru experienced the panic of nothingness. She felt herself falling into the abyss of nothingness. I don't know how long it took. A ball of pure white light appeared below. As the distance approached, the ball of light became larger and larger until it covered the entire field of vision. Do you know what this is? Knight walked to the ball of light, stretched out a finger, and gently picked out a ray of light from the ball of light. This small ray of light slowly merged into Uru's soul. This is magic, Uru said in shock. Pure magic. Yes, it is the source of magic that maintains the entire internet. Knight nodded. All users who go online, 99% of the magic consumption will be gathered here. Once this ball of light dries up, the magic network will be disconnected. Of course, this kind of thing is theoretically impossible. Because if no one is online, the internet itself will not consume magic power. I will give you some magic power, and you can leave the deep web and move around in the outside world. I don't know if it's an illusion. Uru feels that his soul has become more solid. Of course, even so, you can't be too far away from me. Knight added. He didn't hide anything and told the other party about Uru's current state completely. Uru smiled and said, I am very satisfied with this. Thank you very much, Lord Knight. Don't be so pessimistic. Knight comforted, if there is a chance, I will try to help you really revive. Then thank you in advance. Uru is very optimistic, with a faint smile on his face. So, what can I do for you? Anything is fine, even if it means destroying the world, I will try my best. Why would I want to destroy the world for no reason? Knight rolled his eyes, grabbed a handful of the big light ball again, and injected pure magic power into Uru's body. These magic powers are enough for you to move around for a while, so you should save them for me. Knight would feel pain if he ate too much magic power for an electronic pet. The source of magic power of the internet is actually his spare magic power. He usually doesn't want to use it himself. Uru once again felt the nourishment of magic power, and his soul became more solid. She felt that she could use magic. Hearing Knight's order at this time, she couldn't help but chuckle. This young genius magician was easier to get along with than she thought, and he didn't have some genius quirks. Lord Knight, how can I repay your kindness? No, I can't repay you in my lifetime. Uru smiled helplessly. Can you repay him with your body? Oh, no, she doesn't even have a physical body now. If you want to do something, you might as well help me manage the internet. Knight thought that he had to find something for the electronic pet to do, so that she wouldn't be too bored and suffer from Jade syndrome. However, with Uru helping him manage the magic network, many things would be much more convenient. What should I do? I know nothing about your magic. I will teach you slowly. Anyway, I should rest. See you tomorrow. Knight waved his hand and his consciousness left the deep web. At the same time, reality, cave, waterside. Knight slowly opened his eyes. The next moment, a wave of magic appeared beside him, and Uru followed closely to the natural world. Ah, is this what it feels like to be alive? She stretched comfortably, showing her beautiful female figure, with a satisfied smile on her face. But compared with normal humans, she is in a translucent state. Good morning, Lord Knight. Uru greeted naturally. Good morning, I'm ready to go to bed. Knight waved his hand and forcibly sent Uru back to the deep web. 044 Knight vs. Laxus. The next morning, after destroying the evil film again and completing the commission, Knight and his companions were about to leave Galuna Island, and the village chief Mocha and many villagers saw them off. Thank you very much, Mr. Knight, Ms. Urza, Ms. Juvia. Bobo, you must send our benefactor to Harjan port safely. The village chief held Knight's hand and kept thanking him. This time, he did not charge any money, and the after-sales service was completely free, which greatly increased his favorability. There will be no more problems this time, and the evil will not appear again. You can rest assured. Knight waved to the villagers. He was about to board the boat and return to Harjan. As the boatman, Bobo showed a puzzled expression. Mr. Knight, there were 4 of you when you came, but only 3 when you returned. Is it, one less? Urza, 98-7. Juvia, the 3 of them were struck by lightning. Where's Laxus? Urza said in astonishment. They stayed in the village for 1 night last night, and it seems that they didn't see Laxus at that time. Is he lost? Juvia told the truth. He doesn't seem to know where the village is. I'll go find him. Knight's feet left the ground and floated up slowly. He brought the person with him, so of course he couldn't just leave him alone. Fortunately, Galuna Island is not a very large island, so it's not too difficult to find someone. Arriving hundreds of meters above the island, the 6 Eyes saw the entire island at a glance. He saw fawns playing in the woods, monkeys climbing and jumping in the jungle, poisonous snakes hiding in the bushes, birds stopping on branches to clean their feathers. Seeing everything on the island, countless information was captured by the 6 Eyes. Finally, Knight saw Laxus next to a reef on the west coast. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. This guy was sleeping soundly against the reef, with an extinguished campfire and some leftover fish bones beside him. Found it. Immediately, Knight flew over. Juvia looked up at him flying away, and followed him with a shout. Wait for me, Lord Knight. Seeing this, Urza had no choice but to say to the villagers. I'm sorry, please wait a moment, we will find our companions right away. After saying that, she followed Juvia. The villagers looked at each other, scratching their heads and saying nothing. The village chief tapped his cane and said loudly. Why are you still standing there? Our benefactor is lost, let's go find him together. Yes, village chief. The villagers began to act one after another. Many people simply transformed into devil wings and scouted from the air. The west coast. Knight slowly descended from a height. Laxus was not far away, holding his head with his hands, sleeping soundly with his back against the reef. Knight's eyes were looking to the other side. On a reef about 200 meters away, Emperor Zero, Leon sat there in a daze, looking at the surging sea, motionless, like a husband-waiting stone. The other party's 3 companions were standing behind. Do you want to say hello? A ghost appeared beside him, and Uru slowly changed from fully transparent to semi-transparent. No, if he knew my current state, it might be more troublesome. Uru glanced at the eldest disciple from a distance and smiled. He is just a little confused now, and he will stand up soon. Knight nodded, and did not disturb him. Walked to Laxus. Laxus was very alert and woke up at the first time. It turned out to be you. I thought it was some blind beast. Why are you sleeping here? It's cool here. Laxus patted his butt and stood up, admitting that he was lost, which was impossible. Knight didn't expose him, and smiled. The mission has been completed, it's time to go back. After that, he turned around and left. Mission completed. Laxus was stunned for a moment. It seemed that he didn't do anything, but he electrocuted a big rat. But it doesn't matter. He grinned, and the magic power around him surged, like the golden magic power of a Saiyan bursting out. Since the mission is over, then according to the agreement, you can have a serious fight with me. Knight paused, turned around and said, here. It's right here. Laxus roared, took a step forward, and rushed forward. Thunder Fist. His fist released lightning magic, and the electric shock began to sting the skin before it hit. Knight raised his arms, right hand vertical, left hand horizontal, crossed in front of him. At the same time, magic power flowed to protect the hit part. Boom! When the fist hit, a strong electric light burst out. The movement here immediately attracted Leon and others not far away, and they looked at him in astonishment. They should be companions, right? Internal strife. Even the empty Leon couldn't help but regain some spirit and turned his head slightly to look. Knight's legs dragged a long trail on the beach, and Laxus punched him back several times. Hey, Knight, you're not only this level, right? Laxus grinned. Being able to beat Urza is an accident. Hearing this, Knight chuckled. Just to test the lethality of your elemental magic, worthy of being thunder and lightning, my arm is a little numb now. Quote. From the perspective of the six eyes, the magic power in Laxus' body is much stronger than Urza's, and it feels like it is above 5 stars. Really? Then use your body to experience it again. Laxus snorted, and he didn't see any movement. Suddenly, there was a flash of lightning above Knight's head, and the sizzling current fell instantly. Attract lightning. Boom! The lightning struck the beach accurately, and even caused an explosion. Instantly, sand flew up, blocking the view. However, Laxus's eyes fixed. Didn't hit. Disappeared. Faster than his lightning, he didn't see how Knight avoided his attack at all. Laxus was not surprised, and laughed. That's right. If it was solved in one go, wouldn't it be Natsu? As soon as he finished speaking, Knight's figure suddenly appeared in front of him. 3.0. Space-time magic flying thunder god. You don't really think I took your punch just now to test your magic, do you? I'm lying to you. Quote. The right leg swept across, and the powerful kick made Laxus bend over, and he was hit hard in the abdomen, and the whole person flew backwards in an instant. With a bang, he smashed the reef where he was sleeping, and then rolled on the ground like a ball for more than 10 times, flying dozens of times. At this time, Juvia and Urza just arrived here. Seeing the two fighting, they were immediately shocked. But when they saw that it was Laxus who was kicked away, they all breathed a sigh of relief. Lord Knight. Knight ignored the onlookers and slowly lifted several meters off the ground. Looking at Laxus who climbed up from the beach, he chuckled and said, your chance of winning is not even 1 in 10,000. Why don't you just take out your strongest magic and try it? Super Magic Fairy Law. 045 Furious Laxus. A cup of coffee triggers a red temperature reaction. The Law of Fairies. Urza was shocked when she heard Knight's words. Juvia showed a puzzled expression. Super magic. That is one of the 3 super magics of our guild. Urza's face was solemn. She knew that President Makarov mastered the Law of Fairies, and she had heard the president say it before. That was the legendary absolute judgment magic. Use the holy light to defeat darkness, and destroy everything that the caster regards as an enemy. According to Knight, did Laxus also learn it? Juvia was a little anxious and wanted to help Knight as soon as possible. Urza grabbed her hand. Don't go, that's a competition. Now you can only watch and wait for them to decide the winner. How do you know? Laxus couldn't help but frown. Except for the president, even the few people in the Thunder God clan didn't know that he mastered the super magic and the Law of Fairies. Guessed. Knight was flying in the air, with a gentle smile on his face. Don't you want to try? This is your only chance to win. Humph, there's no need at all. Laxus pouted, half crouched, and suddenly shot up. Like an arrow, with a whoosh, it crossed a distance of dozens of meters and came in front of Knight. His right fist released a manic lightning and punched Knight's chest. You can't even fly, how can you fight me? You can't even touch the corner of my clothes. Knight said while dodging the opponent's attack. Even if 28 was in the air, his movements were still extremely agile, easily avoiding Laxus's punches and kicks. In contrast, Laxus could not fly. He could only rely on a short period of air retention to launch a round of fierce attacks on Knight. Naturally, he didn't even touch the corner of his clothes. After Knight pulled away for a distance, Laxus lost his air retention and fell from a high place. It's not over yet. Facing the sky, Laxus locked his eyes on Knight, and his magic power gathered into a ball of lightning in his palm. Lightning bomb. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Dozens of lightning balls flew towards Knight in a dense formation, and expanded rapidly during the flight. When they approached him, they had grown from the size of a palm to a diameter of meters. Facing such a large scale, no dead-angle attack. Knight just thought about it, and he disappeared without a trace. The lightning ball swept past the place where he was before he disappeared, flew to a higher place, and finally exploded with a bang, a bolt from the blue. It disappeared again. It's really space magic. Laxus made a tisk sound, and suddenly felt a little difficult to deal with. This is too shameless. He can fly and use space magic. Of course, he can't touch the corner of his opponent's clothes. Does he really have to use the important law? No. This move is too powerful, and it might kill people. While thinking, Laxus fell back to the beach. However, before he could stand firm, his pupils suddenly shrank. A magical breath came from behind him. Knight suddenly appeared again. Use it. If you don't, how can you have a chance? Just admit defeat. Knight clenched his right fist and placed it above his left shoulder. His fist was wrapped in a layer of milky white vibration. With a deliberate whisper, he punched Laxus on the side of his waist. Boom! Laxus felt that his whole body was about to split. It was like a mirror, shattered with a bang. He heard the sound in advance, but he couldn't dodge it at all when he landed. He was hit hard. The vibration force that ordinary people could not bear penetrated his magic defense. Consciousness is. Laxus felt his consciousness was scattered, and he was knocked away by a punch, and flew to the sea. His body was floating on the sea, flying more than 10 times, and fell into the sea with a thud. I showed mercy. Knight thought, he shouldn't die. Suddenly, a lump appeared on the sea surface, and it was stained with a golden luster. With a bang, a huge amount of magic power rushed up to the sky. Laxus stood in the sea and roared. The powerful magic power dispersed the surrounding seawater, forming a hollow area. Knight was a little envious. 5-star magic power was amazing, and you could release magic power without restraint. He would never do such a wasteful thing. With the blessing of the 6 eyes, every drop of his magic power would not be wasted casually. Lightning suit. Laxus roared. The concentrated magic power exploded, and his whole body was covered with a layer of lightning, like a lightning coat. Not only that, his body entered an activated state under the stimulation of lightning. Defense, speed, and attack power were greatly improved in an instant. With a roar, Laxus left a hole on the seabed, and rushed to Knight in a blink of an eye like a flash of lightning. Violent volt. A palm covered with lightning grabbed Knight. The large-scale discharge attack, the high-voltage electric wave generated can instantly paralyze the opponent. However, Knight disappeared again. The location where he appeared was nearly 100 meters away from Laxus. Still not working. Laxus did not lose his mind. He stared at Knight and felt strongly aggrieved. He had increased his speed by a stage, but still could not touch the opponent. In that case, he raised one hand above his head and chanted quickly, "What resounds through the sky is the roar of summoning thunder and lightning, which falls from the sky and turns everything into ashes." The sky became a little darker, and thunderclouds gathered over the coast, roaring. Even the climate has changed. Knight looked up at the weather and was amazed. The higher the magic power, the stronger it is. This is preparing to blow up the entire coast. The faces of several people watching nearby suddenly changed. Several of Leon's subordinates said, "Lord Leon, get out of the way, you will be involved in their battle here." Is that the S-class wizard of fairy tale, Laxus? Such strong magic. Who is the other one who can play Laxus like a monkey? They had seen Knight last night and knew Knight's name. But they had never heard of the existence of such a werewolf in fairy tale before. Leon just stared blankly at the two warring parties, turning a deaf ear to the concerns of his companions. On the other side, in the direction of the forest, Urza was amazed at Laxus's magic. But what surprised her even more was Knight's space magic. He let her go. No, he let her go. This guy didn't take it seriously when fighting her. He even used a trick of photography magic to create a flaw in the end, and then, luckily, defeated her. Lucky. This guy is really good at acting. I'm so angry. I was completely fooled. Juvia on the side only had Knight in her eyes, holding her hands in front of her chest, watching the sparring nervously. Unknown currency A, unknown currency A, unknown currency A, unknown currency A. Laxus laughed. Let me accumulate power. You really have plenty of room, Knight. You can't hit it. It's just 817 wasting magic power. Why should I stop it? Knight laughed. The opponent in the sparring match volunteered to use his ultimate skill and consumed his magic power crazily. How could he interrupt the opponent's spell? Disappear with this speech, Knight. Laxus snorted and roared. Thunder pressure and raging waves. Boom. A beam of lightning fell from the thunderclouds in the sky, followed by another beam, and then another beam. It was an indiscriminate attack, vowing to completely wipe out a large area of the beach. For a moment, lightning and sand intertwined. And in this chaos, Harjan, a port city. Knight walked into a cafe and bought a cup of hot coffee. The West Coast. For a long time, when everything settled down and the smoke and dust dissipated, the originally peaceful beach was already devastated, with potholes everywhere. Where? Laxus gritted his teeth and looked around. His space magic, the range of instant movement should not be too far, so was such a large-scale attack also avoided. It was uncomfortable. After reading the ultimate move for a long time, it didn't hit. I told you you can't hit me. A voice came from behind. Laxus turned around suddenly, and when he looked at me, his face was red. Knight took a cup of coffee and took a sip. The coffee was still hot. UB********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** Laxus roared angrily, and the manic lightning was released aimlessly. His arms suddenly swelled up and his body expanded. Dragon scales appeared on his skin. Oh, Knight raised his eyebrows and took another sip of coffee. Have you entered the second stage? Dragon Slayer of Thunder. 046. The winner is decided. Knights 100. Magic Reserve 4 quarters. Boom boom boom. The ocean shook slightly, and the seawater on the coast seemed to be boiling. Laxus, who used the Dragon Slayer magic, had completely entered a state of rage. Different from the magic power displayed by the elemental magic Thunder, the magic power of Thunder Dragon Slayer magic is more powerful and domineering. The magic power is consumed so quickly, and the consumption of Dragon Slayer magic is so great. Knight drank up the coffee while observing Laxus calmly with his 6 eyes. In his eyes, the magic power in Laxus' body was rapidly decreasing. He had cast a few magic spells before, and even used a big move, but it was only from a 5-star level to a 4-star level. But once the Dragon Slayer magic was opened, it burned a heart of magic power in an instant. No wonder Dragon Slayer needs to eat elements of corresponding attributes to recover. Without this ability, the Dragon Slayer magic will not be able to support it after a few uses. Knight had some understanding in his heart. The roar of the Thunder Dragon. Suddenly, Laxus opened his mouth and inhaled, and a large number of lightning points gathered in his lungs, suddenly turning into a dragon's breath and spewing out. A golden lightning beam locked onto Knight and attacked. Knight moved and disappeared from the spot. When he appeared again, he was dozens of meters away. But Laxus had expected it, shook his head, and his terrifying breath swept across like a long whip. Knight once again launched Flying Thunder God to avoid it. The dragon's breath, which lost its target, still destroyed a forest on the coast. Wherever it passed, the strong thunder instantly ignited the trees and the fire spread. Urza and Juvia had to retreat to a safe distance. They stared at the two fighting parties with their eyes wide open, looking at them without blinking. Their expressions were extremely shocked. Laxus was already strong enough, but he couldn't hit Knight at all. Suddenly, Knight appeared behind Laxus and punched him. But this time, Laxus reacted. He turned around suddenly and used his head to block the blow. Bang! The fist did not touch his forehead, but it collided with the lightning scales. What a hard head! The defense power has risen to a higher level. A trace of surprise flashed in Knight's eyes. He dared to take his shock magic head on. You're overthinking. The output of magic power increased instantly. With the help of the 6 eyes, every drop of burning magic power played its greatest role. The next moment, Laxus was punched away. His brain was stunned and flew hundreds of meters away. However, anger made him withstand the impact. While stabilizing his body while flying backwards, Laxus clenched his right hand in the air. With a flash of lightning, the Dragon Slayer cube materialized into a Fang Tianhua Ji in his palm. You can't avoid the speed of this move. He roared and threw it fiercely. Thunder Dragon Fang Tianji. Swoosh. It was like a beam of light, so fast that it was unbelievable. In Knight's eyes, Laxus's move almost burned more than 1 star of magic power. The opponent's magic power had dropped from 3 stars to 2 stars. In a flash of lightning, Knight also burned a heart of magic power, and his 5 fingers formed into claws, grabbing the attacking Thunder Dragon Fang Tianji. His palm grabbed the tip of the halberd in the air, and the 2 magic powers collided in the air. The fierce collision of dragon-slaying magic and super magic, the magic power of the 2 was almost equal. However, after about 7 seconds of stalemate, with a bang, Knight closed his 5 fingers and crushed the Thunder Dragon Fang Tianji. What? At this time, Laxus fell to the ground from the state of flying backwards. He looked at this scene in disbelief. His dragon-slaying magic actually lost. What's so surprising? Even if it's dragon-slaying magic, you haven't practiced it yet. At most, you are a young dragon. As soon as the voice fell, Tut disappeared again. Laxus looked up suddenly, and a fist appeared in his vision. The fist was wrapped in a milky white halo. It looked harmless, but the magic contained in it was frightening. The punch hit Laxus' face hard, and smashed his head into the ground. Earthquake. Boom. The cracks spread, and the ground collapsed. The ground was already in a state of devastation, and now it was simply smashed into a huge pit with a diameter of 100 meters under this punch. Seeing this scene, Juvia showed a shocked expression. Did you win? Did Lord Knight win? Urza raised her hand to block the strong wind and squinted her eyes to look at the center of the vibration. After a while, the dust finally dispersed. In the pit, Laxus had rolled his eyes and fainted, and half of his face was sunken. Knight stood beside him, looking down, as if thinking about something. It seems that Knight won. Urza breathed a sigh of relief and ran over with Juvia immediately. Knight, are you all right? Lord Knight. Juvia had a look of admiration on her face. Knight carried Laxus on his shoulders and said to the 2 people on the pit. He has to go back to the guild to lie down for a few days. Anyway, let's go back first. As he said that, he looked at his mana consumption. Magic. It's okay, only half of my heart is left. The main reason is that I took Laxus's Thunder Dragon Fang Tianji. DXJZ. I ran to Harjan to buy a cup of coffee. The space-time magic flying thunder god is indeed very convenient. But the farther the distance of teleportation, the greater the consumption. He went to buy a cup of coffee specifically to stimulate Laxus so that he would use the fairy law in a sudden. In the end, the other party refused to use it. That's it. Knight was a little regretful that he didn't see the super magic fairy law. Quote. If this guy is stronger, my mana will not be enough. Quote. If he runs out of magic power, he will have to use the reserve magic power in the deep web. And the deep web is equivalent to hundreds of stars. And with the development of the internet, there will be more and more. It can be said that unless Laxus kills him in one move, he will not be able to win. Of course, if he can avoid eating the reserve food, he will try not to eat it. Knight is a frugal person. Carrying Laxus, Knight prepared to return to the place where the ship was docked. But there was a shout behind him. Wait, what's wrong? Knight turned his head and saw Leon and his 3 companions chasing him. The few people looked quite embarrassed, obviously involved in the battle between him and Laxus. At this time, Leon supported his left shoulder with his right hand, his eyes burning. Knight is not unfamiliar with this kind of look, he has seen it on Natsu. You are very strong, Leon said in a deep voice. You may be stronger than my master Uru. Your master is right next to me, although you can't see it. I don't know what Uru's expression is now. Knight is a little curious. After Lionla died, my dream of surpassing Uru was shattered. Next, I will target you. Wait for me, fairy tale wizard, I will ask you for advice sooner or later. Hearing this, Knight was speechless on the spot, turned around and left, waving his hand behind his back. You learn magic just to fight. Magic itself is very interesting. After leaving here, you can learn about the internet. After saying this, Knight no longer paid attention to this group of people. He believed that Leon would definitely go. Leak +4. 047 Late night private message. Knight, this is your daughter. Additional update 1. Knight took the unconscious Laxus, Juvia, and Urza, and boarded Popo's boat to return to Harjan. Time went back a little. Last night, after midnight. In the council headquarters, a library somewhere. Back. Zickline took a book from the bookshelf and was about to read it when Marutia walked in. Well, Master Zickline, there is bad news. Urtia nodded and sighed. What happened? The seal of Delian was successfully lifted, but it died immediately. Quote. Dead. Zickline was stunned. That was one of the demons in the Zirf magic book, which once ravaged the north and was a mobile disaster. It can die. A few days ago, another demon, Larabai, was smashed to pieces by Fairy Tale's Knight. Larabai didn't die, but just turned back into a flute. You are worthy of being the great magician Uru. Zickline thought for a short time and shook his head. It doesn't matter, one less demon has no effect on my plan. Quote. After a pause, he said, the real trouble is Voldemort. This person knows his true identity and even his plan. But he doesn't know any information about the other party. Since the last private message chat with the other party, he has been collecting relevant information during this period. Unfortunately, nothing was found. It seems that there has never been a person named Voldemort, 650 in the magic world. In Zikrian's view, even if Voldemort is a pseudonym, but at least there should be some subtle connection with the real name. He tried to break through from this point, but unfortunately he found nothing. As for this point, I just met Knight on Galuna Island. Urtia suddenly spoke. How is it? This person is the pioneer of internet magic, what does he know? A very powerful wizard, especially the eyes. Quote. Urtia was full of admiration. Not only could he create internet magic, but he also had eye magic that could see through her transformation magic. When she encountered Knight in the cave on Galuna Island, she even considered whether to expose her identity, capture him, and bring him back to the Dark Guild Grimoire Heart. But at that time she was just a thought body, and it was not certain that she could beat the other party. So she gave up. I'm asking, does he know Voldemort? Zickline frowned. I don't know, I didn't have a chance to ask. Quote. Urtia answered truthfully. She had registered for the internet for a while, and had not yet discovered any secret spying function of this magic. Therefore, she did not think Knight could know the identity of everyone in the magic network. Zikrian ordered her to find the answer from Knight, and she was afraid that she would be disappointed. Of course, she took the initiative to approach him, not only for this reason. More importantly, she was simply curious about this genius magician. Try to corrupt him and win him over to become one of your own. Next time, ask him directly, as a judge, what is the problem with investigating a person of unknown origin? I understand, Lord Zikrian. Urtia chuckled. By the way, the Magic Network now has a new function of online commission. It has nothing to do with the plan, ignore it. Time goes back to the present. With the help of Bobo, Knight and others took a boat back to Harjan. Then they took the magic train back to Magnolia City. Juvia's destination is Ogu City, and she needs to change trains. Outside the station, Juvia's face was full of reluctance. Knight took out the magic book, his hand minister. This is back to you, put it back in your guild's library. Master Knight, have you finished reading it? I have scanned and uploaded it to the library, thank you this time. Knight stuffed a magic bank card with 4 million in it into the book. When Juvia got on the train, he sent a private message to her, reminding her to take it out. As an excellent and capable partner, Knight would not treat her badly. Juvia knows. Then, goodbye, Master Knight. Juvia waved. It started to rain at the station. Knight's eyes twitched. The girl's mood was really reflected in time. It's raining now. Is it because I didn't eat with her? Thinking of this, Knight immediately said, next time I will find you and treat you to dinner. The rain stopped. Juvia immediately showed a bright smile and nodded happily. Juvia will wait for your news, Nate. Only then did he get on the train with satisfaction. Knight turned and left the station. Outside the station, Urza was waiting for him, and Laxus was still unconscious, lying on Urza's cart. Is it your girlfriend? Urza asked curiously. No. Knight denied it flatly. If he had to have a girlfriend, he would choose the poster girl, Sib. However, as a popular man, he didn't want to reject Juvia's kindness. He suspected that if he just said, stay, the other party would go to the hotel with him obediently. However, Juvia is a very jealous woman, and Knight doesn't want to have too deep intersection with her for the time being. Thinking of this, Knight added, she is a good sister. Even if the sky falls, she is still a good sister, not a girlfriend. In this regard, Urza did not understand the deep meaning of a good sister, but simply thought that the two had a good relationship. In fact, the relationship between the two was indeed very good. After all, the relationship between the rulers of Fairy Tale and Spectre, everyone in Fury knows it. They belong to these two guilds and can still have such a good relationship. They must be real good friends. Let's go back to the guild first. Knight carried Laxus and walked towards the guild first. Unlike Urza before, Laxus' injuries were mainly concentrated on the head, and the injuries in other places were not serious. Sent him to the infirmary and bandaged the kid himself. Sorry, President, I may have been a little careless. After bandaging, Knight apologized to Makarov who came to visit. Makarov shook his head and said, it's not your fault. Laxus must have asked you to spar with him. This time, a lesson is actually a good thing for him. You are really good at judging people. Knight thought, will Laxus, who was defeated by him, start a civil war in the guild like in the original plot? However, there seems to be another plot before that. Knight doesn't care much about these things. Compared to this, he has to teach his electronic pet how to manage the internet as soon as possible. At night, back to the apartment, Uru came out of the deep web as soon as possible. I'm dying of suffocation. I'm really afraid that Makarov will discover my existence, so I dare not show up at all. Are you afraid that he will discover you? Knight said puzzledly. Are there any problems? Maybe you can ask the president if there is any way to reshape the body. In the era when I was active, your president was Saint Ten, a famous wizard. Quote. Uru sat on the bed, with his right leg on his left leg, his elbow against his knee, his palm supporting his chin, his calf swaying, showing the owner's relaxed mood. She looked around the room and said in surprise. Lord Knight, your place is surprisingly simple. Don't call me Lord, don't be so polite. Knight shook his head, sat down at the tea table, and turned on the internet. It's just a place to live, it doesn't matter if it's bigger or smaller. Then where do I sleep? Uru patted the bed under his buttocks, with a slight smile on his face, showing a smirk of a mature woman teasing a little boy. Will I sleep with you? Do you need a bed as a ghost? I don't want to stay in the deep web, it's too boring there. Shut up. Knight rolled his eyes at her. Every minute and every second you stay in the outside world, you consume my reserve magic. Come over and learn how to manage the internet first. Uru laughed softly, his reaction was really interesting. She got up and sat next to Knight, and began to learn about the internet. Suddenly there was a private message. Knight clicked it. Pain Witch. Brother, you are still awake. Sister can't sleep either. Closing square bracket. Pain Witch. Sister is taking a bath. Brother, do you want to see it? Sexygirl.jpg. Pain Witch. It's a pity that your magic network can't see the picture. Giggle.jpg. Uru's expression was subtle. Who is this person? So coquettish. Knight couldn't help laughing. Your daughter. 0480.4 version update. Urtia's beautiful selfie. Click to save. My daughter. Uru was stunned. Your daughter, Urtia. Isn't that right? Knight repeated. He wanted to laugh a little, but he held it back. The daughter was chatting with him online late at night, and her mother saw it. Uru suddenly became silent. Her daughter was indeed called Urtia, and she was named because of the tears of joy when she was born. The meaning of the name Urtia is Urtia's tears. Urtia was born with very powerful magic, but her young body could not bear it. In order to save her daughter, Uru handed her over to a research institute. Not long after that, the people in the research institute told her that her daughter was dead. Knight. Uru's expression became anxious. Are you serious? She. Uru pointed to the name in the private chat interface. The Witch of Pain. According to the time, her daughter should be 18 years old now. She must have suffered a lot of pain to have such a nickname. Is Urtia still alive? Can your internet see what the person on the other side looks like? Please, I want to see. Uru asked in a humble tone, with a nervous face. Video chat. Hearing her say this, Knight thought about it seriously. It seems very troublesome. To complete the function of video chat, new magic knowledge is needed. It can't be completed in a short time. The current internet only has the function of taking pictures. Wait, take pictures. Knight's heart moved. Just wanting to see what the other side looks like, taking pictures is enough. However, he needs to add a small function of taking pictures and sending pictures to the chat module. Just thinking about it, Urtia, who Knight hasn't replied to for a long time, sent a message again. Pain Witch. Pain Witch. Friends can see you online. Pain Witch. Talk, brother. Doubt.jpg. She didn't know that all the private chats she sent were seen by her mother. Knight knew that Urtia had bad intentions, but it was just an online chat, and he didn't mind playing with her. Sigma Man, you said you were taking a shower. Sigma Man, I don't believe it unless there are photos. Sigma Man, wait, I will add a photo function to the chat module now. After sending the message, Knight immediately opened the programming tool of Magic Internet. The magic of taking photos has long been embedded in the underlying code of the deep web. All he needs to do is call this function. Then add a button to the chat module to allow users to use it. Considering the photos taken by users, a place is needed to store them. Knight also temporarily set up a private gallery to store these photos. It sounds complicated, but it is actually very simple. In just over half an hour, Qin got the new function. Then release the update as soon as possible. For a while, all users who were browsing the Magic Network disconnected. For the matter of the Magic Network losing connection, old users are okay and have experienced it. Especially the friends of Fairy Tail, they are sure that Nashi has updated something again. But it is the first time for new users to experience it, and the number is huge, reaching a scale of 4,000 or 5,000 people. The newcomers suspected that their magic rings were broken. After inputting magic power again and starting the Magic Network, an update interface popped up. Magic Internet Alpha 0.4 version update announcement. 1. Added the photo function to the chat module. Now everyone can share the pictures they took with friends. 2. Completed the research and development of the second-generation ring. The new ring can be used smoothly even by ordinary people. Please wait patiently for the launch of the specific purchase. 3. Although there is nothing else, if I don't write more, it seems that I, the developer, have done nothing, so I will write one more sentence. 4. That's all. For newcomers to the Magic Network, this kind of update announcement is still the first time. But it doesn't prevent them from understanding the meaning of it at the first time. So, a large group of people rushed into the Magic Network and began to test the new function. At the same time, at Urtia's home. Her home is not far from the headquarters of the Council of Judges. It is an ordinary mansion. The bathroom on the second floor. Urtia is enjoying a bubble bath. A layer of milky white foam floats on the surface of the bathtub, covering up a pair of slender and well-proportioned long legs. The exquisite clavicle is above the water, and a hint of snow-white peaks is faintly revealed. The function of sending photos to friends has been updated. Urtia thought with a smile. Others must not know, right? Knight added the function temporarily just to see her bathing photos. Don't think she is very coquettish when chatting online, but this is all strategy, a small trick to get close to Knight. In fact, she is still a very conservative and good girl. Out of curiosity, Urtia tried to use the photo function of the chat interface. After pressing the button, the photo screen appeared. There are several buttons at the bottom of the screen. One of them is called Reverse Shooting Perspective. After pressing it, Urtia appeared in the bathtub on the screen. At this time, a private chat came. Sigma Man, quickly take a photo. I don't believe you are taking a bath. Sigma Man, you are not just saying it, are you? Sigma Man, say, I was wrong, Knight brother, now, and I will reluctantly forgive you. Closing square bracket ... Call me brother. Urtia frowned slightly. She checked Knight's information and found that he was 20 years old, 2 years older than her. But calling him brother is impossible, not in this life. It's just a toy, so arrogant. Pain Witch, do you really want to see your sister taking a bath? Pain Witch, I won't show you. Hum.jpg. Unlike the reply, Urtia is adjusting the shooting angle. She deliberately stretched one of her long white legs out of the water, and took a photo of her long legs. Click. The photo is generated. Urtia admired her beautiful photos and hesitated whether to send them. What to do if she is a little shy? No matter, take a few more photos. On the other side, the apartment. Seeing that she hadn't sent any photos yet, Knight turned to Uru and said, "It seems that I misunderstood your daughter. Urtia is just a talker who dares to talk nonsense. ... Uru is not sure that the person in front of her is her daughter. On the one hand, she hopes that her daughter is really alive, but on the other hand, she feels that if she is really her daughter, she is a bit shameless." Suddenly, the Witch of Pain, bathing1.jpg, bathing2.jpg, bathing3.jpg. Urtia sent photos, and sent 3 at a time. The Witch of Pain, as my sister beautiful. Shy.jpg. Knight immediately clicked on the photo and enlarged it to cover the entire interface. I have to admit that Urtia's selfie skills are really good. She didn't show anything, but she was surprisingly touching. Especially this leg, which is long and white. Knight even wants to touch it, but he doesn't know what it feels like. While silently collecting the pictures and saving them in her private gallery, she turned to Ulu and said, "Do you believe it now?" At this moment, Ulu stared at the picture with a dull face, tears falling uncontrollably. Even after many years, she could still recognize her daughter at a glance. She looked very much like her when she was young. No, she is still very young now. If they stand together, they will definitely be mistaken for sisters. I really thought she was dead. I didn't expect she has grown up so much. I was deceived by the people in the institute. Ulu wiped her tears and said with joy, but the last sentence was full of anger. Knight was a little surprised. He didn't expect that the ghost could still shed tears. Do you want to tell her? Quote dot dot dot. I'm sorry for her. Ulu's eyes were full of self-blame, and he didn't dare to recognize her at all. Knight typed immediately. Sigma man. Sister is so beautiful, post more, my brother loves to see it. Closing square bracket. Sigma man. Oh, by the way, your mother is watching it too. Sunglasses.jpg. 049 Living with Ghosts. Quote question mark quote. Looking at the last message sent by Knight, Urtia was full of confusion. What does, my mother is also watching, mean? Her mother has died long ago. Urtia fell into silence, and the memory of the dead was attacking her. When she was very young, her mother sent her to a magic research institute somewhere. In the research institute, Urtia suffered a lot of hardships. After finally escaping from the research institute and finding the woman, she saw her with her apprentice, smiling and living a very happy life. Urtia hated her mother who abandoned her. After that, she destroyed the research institute and joined the Dark Guild Grimoire Heart. Staring blankly at the private chat interface, Urtia said nothing, and typed after a while. Witch of Pain, I don't understand what you mean. Soon there was a reply. Sigma man, in the cave of Galuna Island, 450, I collected your mother's soul. Closing square bracket. Sigma man, she told me that she was deceived by the research institute. Knight used a bit of the spring and autumn style to give a misleading description. Urtia's face changed slightly. Knight could actually collect Uru's soul. She's not dead. Urtia murmured softly, her velvety eyebrows slowly wrinkled into a ball. At that time in the cave, she was in no mood to pay attention to other things because Dai Lionla was dead. Now that she thought about it, once the forbidden magic of absolute ice was melted, if it was handled in time, it would indeed be possible to collect the soul of the caster again. She can also use ice-shaping magic. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. But Knight, how did he ensure that Uru's soul would not dissipate? And why did he know that Uru was his mother's seat? Did Uru tell him? Urtia took a deep breath and was upset by Knight's words. Compared with the above doubts, was he deceived by the research institute? What does this sentence mean? Urtia was very concerned and typed to ask clearly, but deleted it quickly. In fact, she could guess what it meant, but she just didn't want to believe it. At this time, another message came from the private message. Sigma man, want to talk to your mother for a few words. Witch of Pain, sister, I've finished my bath and am going to sleep. After replying this sentence, Urtia turned off the internet and sat in the bathtub in a daze. Regarding Urtia's message that she was going to sleep, Knight didn't believe a word. Your daughter seems to be a little bit unacceptable for a while. Knight turned to Uru and said. Uru didn't know what to say for a while. After confirming that Urtia was not dead and had grown up, she realized that she had been deceived. Replaying what happened that year, she felt very sorry for her daughter as a mother. She must hate me now. Uru sighed. I don't know how she got through these years. She must have suffered a lot. You might as well explain it to her in person. Knight closed the private chat interface. I don't know what happened to you, but it's okay to help you register an internet account. Is it okay? I am a ghost, can I use it? Of course. Uru knelt nervously beside him. Thank you, Knight. You're welcome, just help me manage the internet from now on. Knight smiled. Your daughter generously sent him private photos. He was still willing to help with this little favor. Anyway, I will teach you how to manage the magic network first. The next day, Knight woke up and opened his eyes. He turned around and saw that Ulu had run to his bed without knowing when. He was sleeping on the side against the wall. He was obviously a ghost, but he didn't want to sleep on the bed. Knight's expression was subtle, living with a ghost. It's a pity that he was a ghost. However, the mother and daughter looked quite similar. While thinking, Ulu's eyelashes trembled slightly and opened his eyes at once. Seeing that Knight had woken up first, he smiled and greeted him. Good morning, Lord Knight. Quote. Good morning, don't sleep in my bed next time. I am a healthy adult man. Your behavior will bring me pain. Knight shook his head helplessly. but then again, the soul body also needs to sleep. After complaining, he got up and washed. To be precise, it's hibernation, which is not quite the same as sleeping. Uru couldn't help laughing. Do you want a hug? Although it's a ghost, there is no entity, but can a hug make you feel better? Shut up. Night walked into the bathroom, washed up simply, and went out to the guild. Uru doesn't need to wash her face or brush her teeth. When she sleeps, she only wears underwear, which makes Night a little irritated. She can see but not touch. When she goes out, Uru uses magic to transform a set of clothes she often wore in her life. Black tight jeans, a small reddish-brown vest on the upper body, and a jacket on the outside. Of course, these are all false creations of magic, not real entities. When she was about to arrive at the guild, Uru returned to the deep web as soon as possible. Her ghost form, even if it becomes completely transparent, may be detected by Makarov. This ghost-like soul body reminds Night of another person. Mavis Vermilion, the first president of Fairy Tale. The two are in similar states. The difference is that Uru does not have such powerful magic and must rely on Night to inject magic into her. And she can't leave him too far away. Deep web. Uru tapped the void with his fingers, and countless zeros and ones quickly formed an interface. Last night, Night had helped her register a magic network account and gave her secondary management rights for the entire network. Through simple learning, she already understood how to work for Night. However, before work, Uru looked at her account interface. Nickname, Uru. She simply used her real name. Taking a deep breath, Uru opened the search function, entered the 4 words, Pain Witch, and chose to add as a friend. At the same time, Urtia also woke up early. She wore a velvet pajamas, walked to the floor-to-ceiling window and opened the curtains, letting the early morning sunshine into the bedroom. The ring suddenly flashed. She frowned slightly, opened the internet, and saw a friend request on 4.3. It's not Night, she whispered softly, thinking that Night took the initiative to send her a private message. There was only Night in her friend list. When she saw the friend request clearly, Urtia's face suddenly changed. Uru added you as a friend. Message, Urtia, I'm sorry, please listen to my explanation. Uru. Urtia murmured in shock. What that guy said yesterday was true. My mother is really not dead. At this point, what else does this woman want to say? Urtia struggled with her expression, and after a while, she gritted her teeth and pressed the consent button. ... Urtia suddenly realized a serious problem. If Uru is really still alive, then she saw all the private chats between her and Night last night. Urtia's face quickly became red from her delicate neck. 05010 Wizard Saints nomination. Just as Uru and Urtia resolved the misunderstanding between mother and daughter, Night came to the guild alone. Good morning, Night. I heard that you had a sparring match with Laxus and beat him into a pig's head. Night, I have to remind you that I was lazy in the update last night. Night walked into the guild, and many people greeted him. Good morning, Mr. Macau, Mr. Waka. Of course, he would not admit to being lazy. This update took him half an hour. Came to the bar. Good morning, Mira. Night greeted the poster girl. Didn't you see Gray? Mirajan was wiping the bar table, and when she heard it, she looked up and smiled gently. Good morning, Night. Gray went to work yesterday, and Natsu also went with him. Quote. Can these two really form a team? Night was surprised. He wanted to tell Gray about his senior brother Leon. Since he's not here, forget it, we'll talk next time. What do you want for breakfast? Still from last time. Mirajan turned and walked into the kitchen, and soon came back with a delicious breakfast of 28. Night ate heartily and praised the cooking skills of the hostess again. It's free and delicious. As the president here. Night suddenly remembered something important, so he asked. Mirajan helped him clean up the dishes, and then pointed upwards. The president is on the 2nd floor, with Laxus. Night immediately ran to the 2nd floor. Although he hasn't obtained the S-level qualification yet, it's not the first time he's gone up. Mirajan smiled helplessly, and didn't stop this willful behavior. Knight can beat Urza and Laxus, and his strength is unquestionable. Just don't take S-level commissions casually and break the rules of the guild. Arriving on the second floor, Knight saw Makarov and Laxus in the tea room. Laxus had a bandage on his head. Noticing Knight's arrival, he nodded and said, "I was careless before, but I won't lose again next time." Tsunere said a word and went downstairs. Knight smiled in his heart. He was beaten up. The friendship punch was really useful. AK. He walked to Makarov and took out the second-generation magic network ring he had made before. "This is a login device that ordinary people can use. What do you think?" Makarov took the ring and studied it for a while, then praised with a smile. "Laxus made it, right? You can see this. Should we say they are worthy of being grandfather and grandson?" Knight nodded. "It's well made, and it uses some expensive magic materials." Makarov returned the ring. "How much does it cost?" "About 50,000. Knight thought about it, and if he only counted the cost of materials, not the labor cost, he actually spent 50,000, almost as much as a month's rent. His first-generation ring only sold for 10,000. Although it was a system reward, it was obviously a better ring given by the system. The cost is a bit expensive. If you want to promote the second generation of rings to ordinary people, you have to find a way to reduce the cost." Makarov pondered and said, "I can help you contact the council, they should be happy to cooperate." In the past few days, with the launch of the online commission function, all the major regular guilds in the Kingdom of Fury have opened this function. All the major guild leaders praised it highly. Everyone also set up a chat group, Guild Leader Alliance, on the Magic Network to ask each other how to use this function more conveniently. Not only that, after the council knew about this, they praised him for the first time. It was really unprecedented. He had always been scolded, but now he could be praised by the council. Makarov was even a little uncomfortable. Of course, the real hero was Knight. Speaker Crawford Shim praised him in a private chat. "This is great magic. Mr. Makarov, if the quota of the 10 saints was not full now, I would even like to propose to the council to award him the title of 10 wizard saints. Or, why don't you just abdicate and leave the honor to the young people?" He, of course, was referring to Knight. Makarov told Knight about this. Knight was a little confused after hearing this. Is it so exaggerated? It's just an online commission, so he should be awarded the title of Saint 10. If he can come up with more functions in the future, can he be the chairman of the council? It's not an exaggeration. Your online commission is a revolutionary magic, enough to leave a deep mark in the history of the magic world. Makarov smiled and said, "Maybe hundreds of years later, my name will be forgotten, but you won't, you will become a part of history." Hearing this, Knight re-examined internet magic. For him, this is just a common function. In the previous life, he had already gotten used to the convenience of the internet, but now he has no direct experience. But for the magic world of fairy tale, it is revolutionary. He underestimated the internet. Even so, can I be awarded the title of Saint 10? Knight was a little confused. My magic power is not outstanding, and now it is not as good as Urza. It's just a nomination. Makarov laughed and said, "When the Saint 10 is short of people one day, it will officially enter the review stage of the council." Quote. After a pause, he continued, "The title of Saint 10 is awarded to the 10 best wizards on the continent. Magic power is only one of the criteria for judging. Your contribution to the magic world through internet magic has surpassed the restriction of magic power. In short, the internet is too awesome. Even if Knight's magic power is not as strong as that of the other Saint 10, relying on this magic itself is enough to cover everything. Take a step back and say that magic power can be cultivated sooner or later. Only Knight created the internet. Not convinced? If you don't accept it, you can also create a groundbreaking and revolutionary magic." After figuring out the cause and effect relationship, Knight's expression was a little subtle. He had imagined before that with the development of the internet, his magic power would gradually increase, and he would have the opportunity to become 10 wizard saints. Never expected that there was no need at all. The council even ignored the reality that his magic power was not strong for the time being, and had already thought of nominating him. In short, you are now a wizard on the council's list. If you want to promote the second-generation login device, I can take you to the headquarters to meet those reviewers. Makarov returned to the original topic and said, it depends on your own ideas. Go to the council headquarters. Knight thought seriously for a moment and shook his head. Promoting the second-generation ring is more of a business behavior. I think it's better to leave it to professionals. He thought of Luce's father. In just a dozen years, a small company has been developed into the leading heartphilia chable in the Kingdom of Fury. As a super businessman, it must be more professional and faster to reduce costs and sell the second-generation ring to every corner of the continent. Of course, cooperation with the council can also be launched. It seems that you already have an idea. Makarov nodded and smiled. Go ahead and do it. If there is a problem, I will help you. The guild is your home, and your companions are your family. I understand, thank you, President. 051 Lucy is fooled again and takes the young lady home, 4 quarters. Going downstairs, Knight prepared to go to Luce's house and have a good talk with Luce's father first. But where is Luce's house? He opened the Magic Network library, entered the Heartphilia Chable, and immediately retrieved a lot of information. Jude Heartphilia, the helmsman of the Heartphilia Chable, Luce's biological father. The main business is the railway. In the entire Fury Kingdom, at least 70% of the railway operating routes belong to Luce's family. So rich. Knight couldn't help but envy while reading the information. He also has a lot of money now, with more than 90 million in his bank card, and Luce's IOU. However, compared with the behemoth railway chable, it is simply a small witch compared to a big witch. So, I have been running around on the magic train for some time, and it has all been earned by Luce's family. Knight was a little confused. How did such a huge company go bankrupt and be acquired in the original plot? Luce's father, Jude's business ability is unquestionable. Was he tricked? Knight vaguely remembered that Jude, as a client, commissioned the ruler of the ghost to bring Lucy home. The purpose was to form a marriage alliance. So, at that time, the company's business situation had already gone wrong. Need to form a marriage alliance with other families to solve it. Or, the other way around. It was because Lucy did not agree to the marriage alliance that the man's family felt humiliated, so they turned around and took action against the Heartphilia Chable. Shaking his head, Knight was too lazy to think about it. Knight, watch your way down the stairs, be careful not to fall. Mirajan kindly reminded. Knight turned off the magic network and asked, Mira, have you seen Lucy? I haven't been to the guild today. Mira asked curiously, is there something wrong? D.B. When Knight wanted to explain, he suddenly remembered that he had promised Lucy not to tell others that she was the eldest daughter of a wealthy family. I'm going to go to Luce's house to find her father for something. In the end, Knight had to explain ambiguously, I'm leaving first, bye. After saying goodbye to the poster girl, Knight left the guild. Opened the friend list and sent a private message to Lucy. Sigma man, where are you? Work hard to make money. Ah. Knight, I'm in the park here. I sprained my ankle. Southgate Park. Knight immediately replied, wait for me there, and then walked towards the park. A voice suddenly rang in my ear. Thank you, Knight. Quote. It's Uru, and she's completely transparent. Ordinary people can't see her, but Knight's 6 eyes can capture the flow of her magic. Reconciled with your daughter? Quote. Quote. How do you know? Uru was surprised. Guessed. Then you guessed right. Rather than thanking her verbally, it would be nice if you could help me manage the magic network. Knight was quite curious about what the mother and daughter talked about. Take a sneak peek when you have time. With his authority, all the information on the entire network is defenseless to him. Of course, be careful not to be discovered by Uru. Uru smiled slightly, then I'll go back to work in the deep network first. After that, the flow of magic disappeared, and the soul entered the deep network. Continue to walk towards Southgate Park. The mother just left, and the son came again. Witch of Pain, thank you. Witch of Pain, sister is very touched. What are you touched about? Knight pouted. Sigma Man, no sincerity, no acceptance. Pain Witch, selfie in pajamas.jpg. It is a photo of her standing by a French window, wearing velvet pajamas, smiling at the camera with her head tilted, and her long hair cascading down behind her like a waterfall. The angle is from top to bottom, and from the neckline, the beautiful scenery like a snowy mountain is in full view. Walking on the street, Knight suddenly received such an exciting photo, and he quickly took a few more glances, and then quietly collected it. Sigma Man, sister, you are so sexy, smile. JPGI. Pain Witch, rage.jpg, say it again. Pain Witch, my mother also saw the content of the chat last night, right? Pain Witch, don't let my mother see it next time. Sigma Man, where is the hush money? Cool.jpg. After a while, another photo was sent. This time it was a side view photo, with one hand on the waist, the right foot gently raised, and the toes touching the ground. It perfectly shows Urtia's curvy figure. The morning sun almost made her pajamas transparent. Knight collected it immediately, fearing that others would see it. Sigma Man, if you like it, please give me some pictures. Witch of Pain, no. I'm going to the council. We'll talk to you in the evening. Perhaps because of the reconciliation with her mother, Knight clearly felt that Urtia was in a very high mood. The pictures sent were more attractive than the last. Sigma Man, remember to wear black silk stockings at night. After sending this sentence, Chin Tae closed Lanwang. It should be said that he was actually looking forward to the arrival of the night. Arriving at Southgate Park, Knight found Lucy at a glance. She was sitting on a bench in the park, rubbing her ankle gently. What's wrong? I was scared by a dog. Lucy pursed her lips, feeling that she was unlucky today. On the way to the guild, she wanted to buy some desserts she loved, but a few dogs rushed out of the alley, chasing each other and hitting her. Can you walk? Knight squatted down, grabbed her right foot, took off her shoes and looked at it. It looked a little swollen. Do you know healing magic? Lucy looked expectant. No. Quote. Knight rolled his eyes at her, reached out to touch her ankle, and input magic into it. Although he doesn't know how to heal magic, it's not impossible to use magic to relieve pain. Much better, it doesn't hurt so much. Lucy moved her feet and said in surprise. You are a wizard, why can you still sprain your foot? Knight was very convinced. Even if you sprained your ankle, don't you know how to use magic to relieve the pain? Lucy looked up at Knight, blinked and said. You sent me a message, so I'm waiting for you to help me. Knight was speechless on the spot. Let's go, I'll take you to a good place. Lucy showed a suspicious expression. Last time you said you would take me to a good place, but it turned out to be a routine meeting. This time it's true, and you can live in a mansion and eat a big meal. Knight said with a smile. Immediately, he took Lucy to the station. Halfway through the walk, he felt that it was not possible. The military salary could not be earned by the Heartfilia Chable. He simply found a magic shop that sold magic two-wheelers. The so-called magic two-wheelers are actually motorcycles. Like magic four-wheelers, they all have a device called SE plug that can consume the driver's magic power to gain surging power. Instead of giving the money to Lucy's father, it is better to use the remaining ticket money to buy a magic two-wheeler to drive by himself. Knight chose the most handsome one, and asked the boss. 4.2 million. If you think it's expensive, there are cheaper ones. This one only costs 600,000. The boss rubbed his hands with a smile. Buy it. Knight finally bought the most expensive one. Although I don't know what the functional difference is between the expensive and the cheap ones, the expensive ones are handsome and good-looking. The names are very cool. Obsidian 7th Generation Magic Two-Wheeler. The production company is not Fury Kingdom, it is imported. Riding on Obsidian, Knight inputs magic power, starts the car, and slowly drives to Lucy's side. Get in the car. Do you have a magic two-wheeler driver's license? Yes, don't worry. With a hint of doubt, Lucy sat in the back seat. The car started slowly, then suddenly accelerated and sprinted, scaring her to scream. Are you sure? When did you take the test? In the past life, Li Qinhao. Knight didn't lie. He did have a motorcycle license before he crossed over, and he also had a C1. Although he had never driven before. Put me down, I want to get off. Lucy yelled. At this time, feeling the speed of the magic two-wheeler, Knight felt a long-lost excitement. It's really fun to ride a bike. Slow down. Slow down. Ah. Lucy grabbed Knight's waist tightly, and was scared to death. Driving in the city is too scary. Suddenly, Qin drove fast. In an instant, Lucy was inertial and her body hit Knight's back hard. The two of them were close together, chest to back. Why did you brake suddenly? Lucy patted her chest in fear. Maybe the new car has some minor problems. It doesn't matter, I have good driving skills, I sat firmly. After a while, why did you brake suddenly again? There needs to be a running-in process between people and cars. Don't be impatient, be patient, it will be fine after a few more times. So, Knight drove to the eldest lady's home while teasing her. It was not until the evening, when the familiar terrain and buildings were getting closer and closer. Lucy finally reacted, staring with her beautiful eyes and shouting. Isn't this my home? 0520 no. Great. The young lady brought her boyfriend home. Isn't this my home? Sitting in the back seat of the Obsidian, with her hands on Knight's shoulders, Lucy looked at the familiar scenery and couldn't help but open her eyes wide. You mean living in a mansion and eating a big meal? Are you going to my house? Knight. Just say whether you live in a mansion and eat a big meal. Knight laughed. The magic wheel followed the mountain path and slowly drove into a small town. On both sides of the road were scattered houses, as well as large tracts of farmland and pastures. Cows, sheep, hunting dogs, and herdsmen standing on the green grass garden to graze. It was a completely pastoral scene. Isn't this Miss Lucy? Hey, miss. Finally, someone saw the magic wheel and recognized Lucy, and waved to Lee. Lucy could only wave awkwardly in response. Knight drove the magic wheel and admired the town in the sunset, and couldn't help saying. You are quite popular here. This is my home. Lucy rolled her eyes unhappily. From the mountain at the entrance to the end of this road is my home. They are all my workers who have watched me grow up since I was a child. Quote. How big is it? Thousands of acres. Damn it, a rich lady pretends to be so. Lucy. Suddenly, she was slapped by Wolf. Lucy stared at Knight in dissatisfaction and said, Why are you taking me home? To meet your dad. Ah, I have a business deal with your dad, and I'm sending you back by the way. Say thank you quickly. Knight didn't hide it, thinking, just marry Lucy. Anyway, Jude is the only daughter. After marriage, all these are his. Quote. I don't want to go back. I want to get off the car. Lucy pinched Knight's shoulder hard, wanting to bite this B****************. He was fooled by him again, damn it. Hey, don't make trouble, there are 4 famous sayings in my hometown, one of which is, I'm here now. Knight turned the throttle and drove at a high speed. Seeing this, Lucy sighed helplessly. Forget it, I'm here now, just in time to go home and pay tribute to my mother. The cool obsidian magic wheel passed through the town and continued to drive along the country road. After a while, a luxurious European-style villa came into view. There was a large front garden in the front yard of the villa, and there was a fountain in front of the main entrance. In the fountain stood an exquisite statue. The statue danced with its arms open, looking up at the sky. Knight didn't understand the artistic expression of this kind of artwork, which was not important. What was important was that the surface of the statue was plated with gold. Next to the statue, a middle-aged maid was cleaning. Hearing the roar of the magic wheel's engine, the older maid looked up. After seeing this, her expression was dull and the broom in her hand fell out of her hand on the spot. Miss Lucy. Knight stopped the car and turned off the engine. Lucy got out of the back seat and greeted with a smile. Mrs. Spett. The older maid, who was called Mrs. Spett, burst into tears and ran to Lucy excitedly. Miss Lucy, I'm so glad you're safe. Lucy apologized. I'm sorry for making you worry. She really doesn't have the airs of a big lady. She has such a good relationship with the maid at home. Knight walked over and thought to himself. By the way, Lucy saw Knight and introduced him. He is. However, before she introduced him, Mrs. Spett was shocked when she saw Knight. She was stunned for 2 seconds and suddenly shouted. 173. Great, Miss Lucy is back with her boyfriend. This voice startled the front garden at once. A group of busy maids came over, as well as the cook, gardener, magic teacher, etc. Dozens of people surrounded Lucy and Knight. What? Miss Lucy is back, and she brought her boyfriend back. After all, Miss Lucy is still young, so it's inevitable that she will elope once or twice, right? Miss Lucy, Dongfang has sent a new reference book. Miss Lucy, you haven't neglected magic, have you? Miss Boyfriend, what's your name? Lucy was embarrassed and retorted. Not a boyfriend, but a boyfriend. Remembering that she couldn't expose the guild and bring trouble to Fairy Tale, she didn't know how to explain. Faced with the enthusiastic crowd, she could only stand there stupidly. At the same time, the study on the second floor of the villa. Judah stood by the window and quietly looked at his daughter and the knight beside her, and immediately gave an order behind him. After a while, another maid walked out of the villa. Miss, the master wants you to go to his study now to find him, and this boyfriend. Not a boyfriend, my name is Nashi. Nashi denied with a smile. Yes, Mr. Knight, the master also invites you to the study. The maid was very polite and bowed slightly respectfully. Please follow me first. Knight glanced at Lucy, and after a look, he followed the maid into the villa. Lucy was a little worried about Knight. She looked up at the window of the study and looked at her father Jude through the glass. After just one glance, Jude left the window. The daughter who ran away from home rarely came back, but she only said, I'll wait for you in the study. Lucy sighed silently in her heart. This person really hasn't changed at all. The relationship between father and daughter was stiff. At this time, Mrs. Chebet hurriedly took Lucy's hand and said excitedly, Miss, let's go, change into a beautiful dress first. Ask for flowers. In the past year since you were away, we have been following the clothing recommendations in Weekly Soshera and buying new clothes every week. Single quote. You will definitely like it. Just as Lucy was bathing and changing clothes, evolving from a poor Lucy to a rich lady Lucy. On the other side, Knight followed the maid to the study. Master, the guest has been brought. After the maid bowed, she quietly left the study and closed the door. Knight looked at the rich man calmly. Judah stood in front of the desk, with his back to him and his hands behind his back. He was wearing a light brown suit and a big golden back hair. His temperament was that of a rich man. Are you also a wizard of Fairy Tale? Suddenly, Judah spoke, turning around while speaking. Also, Knight was surprised. Some time ago, Lucy beat up Duke Abar and snatched a book from his mansion. _O. Judah said calmly, at that time, I knew she was in Fairy Tale. Knight raised his eyebrows. As expected of a super rich man in the country, his intelligence ability is really good. That was Lucy's first mission, but her father found out immediately. No, maybe Lucy's whereabouts since she ran away from home for a year have been under Jude's control. Even if it was to complete the commission, breaking into a duke's mansion, beating someone, and stealing a book, without me behind the scenes to calm the incident, do you think this kind of thing would be easily let go? Makes sense. After hearing Jude's words, Knight felt that it made sense. After all, Duke Abar is also a legitimate duke of the Kingdom of Fury. As for Lucy's mission at that time, there was no subsequent revenge. No wonder the client at that time was willing to pay a reward of 2 million J. That was provoking a duke. So, how is Abar now? Knight asked curiously. In prison. Jude seemed to be talking about a trivial matter. He has many crimes, but he lacks a person of status and position to report him. Got it. It's you, the father, who should do it. Knight nodded and smiled. My name is Knight, the wizard of Fairy Tale. Nice to meet you, Mr. Jude. You want to marry Lucy? Jude said on the spot, leaving Knight speechless. This time I came to discuss a business with you, but before that. Knight took a few steps forward, took out the IOU from his pocket, and handed it to Jude. Your daughter owes 16 million, please settle the bill first. 7 inches. He was outmaneuvered, which he didn't expect. 053 Lucis determination. A huge industry worth trillions of dollars. Jude saw his daughter Lucis' signature on the 2 IOUs. As a father, he naturally recognized his daughter's handwriting. But the content of the IOU surprised him a little. Lucy bought 2 zodiac keys from the wizard in front of him at a price of 8 million each. Sagittarius and Virgo. Jude couldn't help but frown at this. It's not that he didn't approve of the deal, nor did he think the price was too expensive. On the contrary, as there are only 12 zodiac keys in the world, the price of one is only 8 million. What's the difference between this and giving it away for free? Your name is Knight, right? Jude raised his head and stared at Knight with the eyes of an elder. Lucy is the daughter of Heartfilia. She is different from ordinary people and lives in a different world. I hope you can understand this. Understand what? Knight didn't hear. 107. Understand what Jude was saying. It felt strange that the other party suddenly said this after reading the IOU. I am very grateful for bringing Lucy back. I will give you 10 times the amount of the IOU, 160 million. Jude's face was calm, and 160 million seemed to be nothing in his mouth. Hearing this, Knight couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Sure enough, Jude continued to say the following. I have decided to let Lucy marry the young master of the Chu Renier family. Quote. Through this, Heartfilia Railway Company will be able to consolidate its territory in the south and completely control the operating railways throughout the Kingdom of Fury. These words should not be said to an outsider. After all, the marriage between the two families has not been finalized. But in Jude's opinion, the relationship between Knight and his daughter is a bit unusual, and it looks a bit like they are in love. It's better to make it clear. Of course, he is not a devil, and the other party will not have any objections to using 160 million in compensation. This time, Knight understood what Jude wanted to express. Sure enough, the marriage has begun. If he didn't bring Lucy back today, maybe after a while, the other party would issue a commission to the ghost and force Lucy to take home. Looking at this matter from an outsider's perspective, Knight felt that Jude's father was a bit awkward. On the one hand, he hoped that Lucy would marry over and make the family go further through marriage. On the other hand, in the original plot, after Lucy refused in person, he actually gave up. There was no coercion at all, Lucis meaning. So it seemed very awkward. Knight couldn't help guessing that after Lucy refused, Jude probably rejected the man's family, which led to a conflict between the two sides. In the end, for some reason, the company went bankrupt, and Heartfield collapsed overnight. To be honest, Knight felt a little sympathetic to this father. He was good at doing business, but he couldn't maintain the father-daughter relationship. Mr. Jude, I suddenly feel that Lucy is already an adult, and it is better for her to repay her debts herself. Knight snatched the IOU back with a smile. As for your family affairs, I don't want to get involved. The purpose of my coming this time has been explained before, just to discuss a matter. Bang! I don't agree. The door of the study was pushed open, and Lucy stepped in with a serious expression. Lucy. Jude frowned, looking at his daughter still wearing the clothes she came in, and felt a little dissatisfied in his heart. How could the daughter of Heartfilia be dressed so poorly? Lucy faced Jude's dissatisfied gaze and walked up to him step by step. Father, I am very sorry for leaving this house without saying anything. I have deeply reflected on this. Lucy first apologized for running away from home, then changed the subject, with sharp eyes and full of momentum. I have heard what you said just now outside the door, but please allow me to refuse. I will not agree to the marriage. My happiness is not determined by others. Please do not decide my marriage for me without authorization. Jude showed a shocked expression on his face. It was the first time he saw his daughter so brave to express her opinion to him. Did this year of running away from home make her grow up? Lucy took a deep breath and continued. I admit that it was wrong for me to run away from home. Running away from this home is no different from escaping. Therefore, I will explain it to you this time. Father, I came back this time just to pay tribute to my mother, and then I will leave here. You don't have to come to me, I will work hard even if I am 10 people. What I want is not Lucy Hartfilia, not endless money and beautiful clothes. I just want to live as Lucy. Then, sorry, Father. Quote. Finally, Lucy bowed slightly to Jude with the etiquette of a big lady she had learned since childhood, and then turned around and left resolutely. She also pulled Knight with her. Let's go, Knight. For such a strong Lucy, Knight had to obey her. Lucy, a mere Lucy, actually had a heroic moment. After complaining in his heart, Knight spread his hands to Jude, who was still in shock. His eyes seemed to express, "See, your daughter is very strong, your marriage plan seems to be ruined." Bang! As the door of the study was shut again, Jude stood there in a daze, and sighed for a long time. He walked to the window and looked at the door, waiting quietly for a moment. Sure enough, Lucy pulled Knight out of the villa and went towards her mother's tombstone. Silently watching the two walk away, Jude sat back at the desk in silence and took out a photo frame from the drawer. The photo shows a family of 3. Lucy in the photo is still very young, with a happy smile on her face, and her mother holding her hand. Forget it. She is 17 years old, let her go. Jude put the photo frame back, leaned against the back of the chair tiredly, and closed his eyes with a frown. What should Hartfilia Railway Company do next? If the Chu Renier family is rejected, will it cause dissatisfaction on the other side? If the Southern Railway cannot be consolidated as soon as possible, the astronomical amount of money invested in the premise will not be recovered, and the chain reaction caused by this. Behind the glamorous Hartfilia financial 3.3 valve, there are already many dangers. It's like a cruise ship heading for an iceberg. Judah was thinking about how to break the deadlock, and he thought about it for more than half an hour, but he didn't think of a foolproof plan. Suddenly, a voice sounded in the study. It seems that you are in big trouble. Judah opened his eyes were shocked. The person standing in front of the desk turned out to be Lucy's boyfriend. Have you finished paying respects to Layla's tombstone? At this time, Jude's attitude was much friendlier. Where's Lucy? She's still there. I came back first. While answering, Knight took out a second-generation ring from his pocket and placed it on the desk. Then he chuckled and said, "Next, we should talk about the business we talked about at the beginning. It can help your Hartfilia family go further. This will be a huge industry involving $1 trillion scale. 054 new function, Magic Network Express, Jude, good son-in-law." Ring. Judah was a little surprised by the $1 trillion scale mentioned by Knight. His eyes fell on the ring, and he felt that it looked familiar. It is the login device of the Magic Internet, the second-generation Magic Network ring. Regarding Internet magic, you may not have yet. Knight explained. Internet. Judah's eyes flashed, and he looked up suddenly, and said with his arms straight, I just heard about it the day before yesterday. Really? Are you the creator of that magic? Huh. Knight was surprised. Unlike Lucy, Judah is just an ordinary person, not a magician. No, it should be said that he is a super rich ordinary person. I didn't expect you to have heard of it, that's easy. Knight nodded, got straight to the point, and said straight to the point. The first-generation login device can only be used by magicians who can control magic power, and the one on the table is the second generation that even ordinary people can use. Mr. Judah, why don't you try it on? Judah took the ring and put it on decisively without any hesitation. The day before yesterday, he attended a gathering of wealthy people, and saw several wizards from regular guilds at the gathering. 28 They accepted the commission of the guild to serve as bodyguards. At that time, the wizard team was using the internet, which attracted great attention at the gathering. From those people, Jude knew the existence of the internet. It is said that it was a magic created by a genius of fairy tale. Unexpectedly, that genius turned out to be his daughter's boyfriend. Jude's eyes glowed with amazing spirit, which was completely different from his previous tired look. How should I use it? After putting it on, Jude couldn't wait to ask Knight. Do you see the magic crystal on the ring? Just press it lightly, Knight kindly instructed him. As he was told, Jude pressed it, and the magic crystal released magic power. This magic power first stimulated the ring, and almost at the same time activated two kinds of magic. The first one, the internet. The second one, soul magic, soul absorption. A very simple soul magic, its only function is to absorb a trace of the wearer's soul and use it as a mark to bind the ring. This magic will not cause much harm to the wearer, at most there will be a few seconds of trance. Jude felt a slight dizziness, just like an anemic patient who suddenly stood up after squatting for a long time. The discomfort quickly disappeared. After that, the new user registration interface appeared in front of him. Registering an internet nickname, I suggest you don't use. Before Knight finished speaking, Jude had already entered his name. Jude Heartfilia. Really honest. Knight complained, but it's okay. As a rich man, using his real name will help promote the ring. That's it, I saw it the day before yesterday. Jude looked at the constantly refreshing posts in the forum. I heard that the current wizard guilds can accept commissions through the magic network, is that true? He looked up at Knight, and he had a vague premonition in his heart. Knight nodded and said, let me first introduce you to the general functions of the current internet. As he said, he walked around the desk, walked behind Jude, and guided him to use the internet little by little. As a developer, no one is more familiar with it than him. Under his guidance, Jude quickly understood everything. The more he used it, the more shocked he was, and his mouth opened wider and wider. Has the magic world developed to this extent now? It is simply an epic making magic. Jude looked at Knight in shock, and suddenly felt that Lucy brought him a huge surprise. Although he is not a wizard, he is a successful businessman. He can see the huge value contained in the internet almost instantly. Quote. The current internet is almost like this. Knight gave a detailed introduction, and then said confidently. Next, I plan to develop Magic Network Express, allowing users to use the magic network to transmit some small and light objects through the network. Like teleportation magic, Jude blurted out. Almost. Quote. Knight nodded. He now has the Flying Thunder God. As long as this magic is embedded in the underlying code of the deep web, the internet can have some of the functions of the Flying Thunder God. It is easy to teleport some small objects. In fact, even teleporting people is possible, but the magic power consumed will be very large, and the magic network cannot support this consumption at present. Only when there are a lot of users, Knight will consider opening this function. With a snap, Jude stood up excitedly, grabbed Knight's shoulders, and said excitedly. My dear son-in-law, you are the greatest wizard I have ever seen. My dear son-in-law. Knight was stunned for a moment. Jude then asked expectantly, what business are you talking about? This second-generation ring is expensive, cost 5. Quote. I hope to cooperate with you to reduce costs and sell it to every corner of the continent. Quote. In the future, the magic net ring will be a magic item that everyone and every family must have. It will bring great changes to the world. Knight expressed his imagination. Compared with this unique business, what is a railway company? Hearing this, Jude was so excited that he was shaking all over. This is it. An opportunity to save the Heartfilia Chable. Lucy, if you had told me earlier that you had such a powerful boyfriend, would your father still have to work so hard to form an alliance with the Chu Renier family? What Chu Renier family? Don't contact me. I'm afraid my son-in-law will misunderstand. Jude laughed and said, don't worry, I think the material of this ring is too good. As long as we reduce it a little and then expand the scale of production, the cost can be reduced to less than 10,000. Quote. So powerful, Knight thought, he is worthy of being a professional. I'll leave the business to you. I'll give you 50% of the profit of the ring. The only thing to pay attention to is, will the quality be good? Hearing this, Jude laughed. It's better to have a slightly worse quality. You can buy a new one when it's broken. Quote. Knight. He glanced out the window, but unfortunately, he didn't see the streetlight. Mr. Jude, you are indeed a big businessman, your mind works so fast. Knight praised. Capitalists should hang on streetlights. Oh, me too in the future. That's fine. Jude thought Knight was praising him, and couldn't help laughing. Ha ha ha, dear son-in-law, why don't you stay here tonight? I'll ask the kitchen to prepare dinner right away. 055 under the table, Knight and Lucis two-person game, 4 quarters asking for flowers. Good son-in-law again. Compared to what Jude said before, the daughter of Heartfilia lives in a different world. This title of good son-in-law made Knight want to complain. You misunderstood. Your daughter Lucy and I are not boyfriend and girlfriend. Huh, this time, it was Jude's turn to be stunned. I misunderstood. But even so, based on his understanding of his daughter, Lucy looked at Knight with at least a favorable look, not like an ordinary guild companion. I won't say much about your young people's affairs. Jude apologized first, and then said, today is the first time Lucy has honestly expressed her thoughts to me in front of me. She has grown up. Knight, help me tell her that her father will no longer interfere in her life in the future. This time, I did not do well. If you can communicate with your daughter like this earlier, how can the relationship be so bad? Knight thought in his heart and nodded. I will bring it. Quote, Lucy will be in the guild from now on. Please take good care of her. This is a father's request. Quote, Airy, go out of Lucis Villa, turn right and walk straight ahead. After crossing a staircase to a high place, you can see an angel statue. Under the statue is a tombstone. Layla Heartfilia. X748X777. Mom, I'm sorry I haven't seen you for so long. Quote, Lucy stood in front of the tombstone with mixed feelings. Her eyes fell on the number 777, and doubts gradually appeared in her eyes. 777, like Natsu and Gajil of Phantom, is it the year when dragons disappeared? Lucy's body trembled, and she subconsciously thought of a possibility. Before running away from home, she did not know the specialness of 777. But now, she joined Fairy Tail, met Knight and Natsu, and met another dragon slayer Gajil at the regular meeting. Does. The reply of Voldemort in the Magic Network forum. Lucy, your father is calling you to have dinner together. Quote. Suddenly, Knight's voice sounded, interrupting her thoughts. Lucy turned around, grabbed Knight's arm excitedly, and pointed to the number on the tombstone with her other hand. Knight, look, look. This is my mother's tombstone. She also disappeared in 777. Tell me, is there a possibility that my mother is not dead, but in my body? Knight, he said in his heart. This is really a strange angle, which really did not surprise him. He knew very well why Lucy's mother, Layla, died. Did your mother also die on July 7, 777? Yes. It was the same day as Long disappeared. Lucy nodded hurriedly, but soon, her eyes fell. As if being poured with a basin of cold water, the excitement just now disappeared in an instant. Unlike Long's disappearance, she had seen her mother's body. So, it was just a coincidence. But, it's very strange. Lucy bit her lip and said unwillingly, the dragon disappeared on that day, and my mother died suddenly. What happened on that day? That day was the day when the door opened. Knight thought, reached out and touched the eldest lady's head, and comforted her. Go to the Magic Network to ask when you have time, maybe there will be information. Quote. Duh. Suddenly being touched on the head, Lucy's delicate body trembled slightly, and a blush appeared on her eyelids. She turned around shyly. Let's go back to the guild. Wait, I just went to see your father again, and your father told me that he apologized to you. Ah, he will apologize. Lucy widened her beautiful eyes, her tone incredible. Don't believe it. He also said that he will not interfere in your life in the future. Why don't I believe it? What did you talk to him about? Business. Knight chuckled and teased. Oh, by the way, he also wants me to be his son-in-law. Lucy, you have to work hard. Why should I cheer, you idiot Knight? Lucy's face quickly turned red, and she ran back to the villa. Knight was delighted by the cute reaction. In the evening, Jude prepared a sumptuous dinner to entertain Knight. Lucy rarely ate at the same table with her father. As a result, this the father talked and laughed with Knight, as if Knight was his biological son and a member of the family. And she was picked up. The eldest lady stared at the person across the table with a resentful look, and took off her high heels under the table and kicked gently. Knight was chatting with Jude, and suddenly felt something kicking him, and immediately reached out to grab it. A little foot in dark stockings. He is so arrogant even though he owes money. Knight didn't tolerate it at all, clamped his legs together, and then tickled Lucy's soles. Ah! Lucy's skin was covered with goosebumps. She screamed, and then quickly covered her mouth. What's wrong, Lucy? Jude looked puzzled. 14. Lucy said word by word. She tried to endure the itch on the soles of her feet and pinched her thighs hard, using the pain to suppress the itch. Are you still angry with Dad? Jude sighed and said, Dad apologizes to you. Since you don't agree, I will refuse the marriage. I will not interfere with your decision in the future. Did you really apologize to her? Lucy opened her beautiful eyes wide and stared at Knight, conveying a questioning meaning. What did you talk about with my dad? Knight understood what she meant, changed tickling to gentle caressing, and responded with eyes. Guess. Lucy was so angry that her teeth itched, and she felt a warm big hand playing with her little feet, and her ears turned red. Her breathing was a little rapid. The two were playing a little game under the dining table in front of Jude, the old father. Jude was naturally not a fool. He didn't realize it at first, but he reacted quickly. Still don't admit that they are boyfriend and girlfriend. Jude thought helplessly, he didn't mean to break up the couple. On the contrary, he just smiled and pretended not to know. The dinner ended in a pleasant atmosphere. At least Knight was quite happy. Not only did he have a big meal, but he also taught the young lady a lesson. After the meal, Jude called Lucy to the study. It seemed that the father and daughter were ready to have a public chat to resolve the stiff relationship in the past few years. And Knight followed the maid into a guest room. It is worthy of being a villa of a wealthy man. Even the guest room is super luxurious. Master Knight, hot water has been put in the room. You can take a hot bath at any time. The maid bowed her head respectfully outside the door and saluted, I will prepare clothes for you later. Don't worry. Thank you. Knight thanked politely, closed the door, and went into the bathroom to take a bath. Just as he lay down, Urtia suddenly sent a private message. The Witch of Pain, Black Silk Selfie.jpg. This woman knows how to seduce him. She sent a photo of black silk straight to the point, which aroused his interest in chatting. Urtia is tall, with 2 long legs that are slender and well proportioned, like jade. After wearing black stockings, she is even more attractive. Knight really wants to run over and touch her. I wonder what it feels like. Pain Witch. Today the council is discussing the subjugation of Oraciones. Closing square bracket. Good money. Knight saw the news and couldn't help but feel a little confused. This woman has become serious, and suddenly I'm a little uncomfortable. Sigma man, I still like the way you continue to post pictures. Closing square bracket. Pain Witch. Knock on the head.jpg, be serious. Closing square bracket. Who is not serious? Isn't it you who posted the picture? Knight was speechless about her behavior of blaming others. Pain Witch. Didn't I tell you last time? Aragorn of Eisenwald and Larrabee were kidnapped by someone. Closing square bracket. Pain Witch. It was Angier, one of the Oraciones. Closing square bracket. Pain Witch. The council made such a serious mistake this time. We must find a way to save it. So let's discuss who should be sent to subjugate the 6 demons. What does defeating the 6 demons have to do with me? Knight thought, already foreseeing what Urtia would send. Sure enough, the next sentence. Pain Witch. Sister recommended you. Say thank you sister. Snicker.jpg. Sigma man. I will post your private photos on the forum. Pain Witch. Pain Witch. Sorry, brother, sister is joking, crying.jpg. 056 Is this the world of genius wizards? Additional Chapter 2. Knight was just trying to scare Urtia, of course he couldn't really post it on the forum. Seeing the other party immediately send an apology, he couldn't help laughing. Sigma man, are you scared? Witch of pain, I don't believe you will post it, rolling eyes.jpg. Sigma man, then I'll show it to your mom, smile.jpg. Witch of pain, you dare, sister will never post it again. Right oo.jpg. Sigma man, not rare. Pouting.jpg. The chat ended after a while, about a minute. Witch of pain, lifting skirt.jpg. The picture sent this time is still a long leg in black stockings. However, Urtia deliberately lifted the hem of her skirt and pulled it to a position that would expose the mysterious forbidden area. It was like a black hole, firmly attracting Knight's attention. Collected it immediately without hesitation. Replied later. Sigma man, that's it. Knocking wooden fish.jpg. Knight suspected that if he tried harder, he could see something more exciting. At the same time, on the other side, Urtia's bedroom in the mansion where the council is headquartered. Urtia felt her face flushed. She first approached Knight through a reply on the forum. She did have some bad intentions at first. Not anymore, she just likes chatting with him for 770 days. In the morning, she talked a lot with her mother Uru and understood the misunderstanding at the beginning. Now the knot is untied, and the mother and daughter are finally reconciled. Although her mother is just a ghost now, Urtia is satisfied. Maybe there will be a chance to truly revive her mother in the future. And all this is thanks to Knight on the other side of the magic network. Therefore, when she posted photos, she became more and more bold. Still not satisfied, looking at the message sent by Knight, Urtia gritted her teeth and didn't fall for it. Her white fingers flew and quickly typed a string of replies. Witch of pain, brother, come to the council, sister will show you something better, naughty.jpg. Knight was lying in the bathtub, it was a pity that Urtia didn't take the provocation. However, seeing the message sent by the other party, I couldn't help but feel moved. Sigma man, I heard that the council wants to nominate me as the Holy 10. Suddenly switched from flirting mode to serious chatting. Urtia seemed to be stunned for a while, and it took a long time to reply. Pain witch, I asked the speaker, it seems to be true. Closing square bracket. Pain witch, but now the Holy 10 is full, brother should wait for the job slowly. Pain witch, however, you are really amazing. Relying on a groundbreaking magic, you can get the nomination of the Holy 10. This is the first time in the history of the magic world. Closing square bracket. It is true. Knight pinched his chin. Although this false name can't increase his magic power a bit. But if he can get it, he will be very happy. Sigma man, maybe it won't take long. Closing square bracket. Pain witch, sister will definitely vote in favor at that time, hurry up and say thank you sister. You may not be a council member at that time. Knight thought, once Jalal's plan is launched, the current council will suffer. Wait. Now that Urtia and Ulu have reconciled, Ulua's behavior pattern will also change. Will she destroy the council again? Knight felt that he had changed a lot of plots unconsciously. Although he did not do it intentionally, his influence was spreading. Just thinking about it, Urtia sent another message. Witch of pain, by the way, have you learned your thought body? Witch of pain, come to the council headquarters, sister will teach you in person. I will teach you more than just magic. Sigma man, I don't believe it. You don't even dare to post pictures, and you say you can teach me more than just magic. Pouting.jpg. Witch of pain, sister is going to sleep. Staying up late is the natural enemy of beauty. Moon.jpg. Knight saw her name dimmed and her friend list also showed, offline. She was scared away, and she dared to flirt with him. However, Urtia's words reminded him. Next, he planned to develop Magic Web Express. But before that, he had to learn the thought body and let the thought body write code. This function is more complicated than the previous one, and it will take half a month to complete. I have understood the principle, but why can't I separate the thought body? Knight whispered to himself. Open the library, find the magic book that Juvia stole, turn one of the pages, and read it with a slight frown. CIBC. According to the method recorded in the magic book, Knight closed his eyes and the magic power in his body operated according to the predetermined route. Try to separate a soul. In the end, it still failed. Knight opened his eyes, thinking whether to ask the 10th president. At this time, Uru ran out of the deep net. Lord Knight, are you taking a bath? She was startled at first, then looked at him openly and said with a smile, do you want me to rub your back? Knight rolled his eyes. Don't say anything, you ghost. He didn't mind, but the problem was that ghosts couldn't touch him. Uru stood by the bathtub and saw the magic book in front of Knight. He recognized it immediately after taking a few glances. Soul magic thought body, you can do it too. Knight said in surprise. I've been learning this magic recently, but I haven't succeeded. This magic is a high-level magic. It requires very strong magic power to separate the thought body, or a magician with particularly strong mental power. This made Knight think of someone. Robinlu, the president of the Demon Cat Inn, separated the thought body of a guild by himself, which is an outrageous mental power. Not only that, this person is also a ghost. Uru asked puzzledly. Why do you want to learn the thought body? This magic is difficult to practice, but it doesn't have much effect in actual combat. Not for fighting. Knight had to explain it again. After listening, Uru suddenly said, so that's it, just to be lazy. Knight, why say it so directly? Uru smiled and said, in this case, you don't have to follow the magic book. Is there any other way? Knight asked. The method taught in the magic book is to split a strong enough thought body, but you just want a tool to help you write code, so you don't need such strong magic power. Uru nodded and began to teach. Under her guidance, Nashi learned it quickly. Not long after, a thought body appeared beside the bathtub. Knight looked at the other party and couldn't help saying, the eyes are dull, it won't move, and there is no magic power. It's just an empty shell. Other people's thought bodies can act independently. His can't, he must be distracted to control it. It's equivalent to doing two things at the same time, or he is writing the code himself. He reached out and touched it, and when he touched it, the thought body began to fluctuate like water ripples, as if it would dissipate at any time. Uru laughed. This is the first time I've seen such a weak thought body, ha ha, ah ha ha. He almost cried with laughter. I've only learned it for a few days, it's good enough to use it. Knight said unhappily. Besides, it's enough to be able to write code, I don't need it to fight. RX. Uru's laughter stopped abruptly, and he said stupidly. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Knight thought about it and replied, about 2 or 3 days. I heard others say it's difficult, but it's not that difficult. Uru. Sorry, I was wrong to laugh just now. Is this the world of genius wizards? The next day, with the farewell of a group of maids and Jude, Knight rode on the obsidian and carried Lucy back to Magnolia. 0574. Magic. Dark Web. The actions of the 6 demons. Before leaving, Knight remembered an important thing. So he said to Jude, after the 2nd generation of rings are made, I need to add internet magic to them personally, otherwise they cannot be activated. Wait until the first batch of rings are ready, contact me. Jude nodded to show that he understood. He can now use the magic network and contact Knight at any time. Turning to look at Lucy in the back seat, Jude smiled and said, Lucy, be happy in the guild. If you encounter anything, you can contact Dad at any time. Got it. Goodbye, Dad. Lucy smiled and waved to her father and the many servants who came to see her off. Then she hugged Knight's waist and urged, let's go, Tushi. Knight started the obsidian and slowly accelerated away from the villa in the sight of everyone. The magic 2-wheel windmill was running fast. Lucy sat in the back seat, opened her arms happily, and enjoyed the wind and waves. So happy. Knight glanced back at her. Thank you, Knight. I didn't expect that I could reconcile with my father after coming back this time. Since Mom died, that guy has been completely obsessed with money. He only knows how to make money and doesn't care about me at all. Lucy complained about her father behind her back. I think your dad cares about you a lot. Knight smiled. Hold tight, I'm going to speed up. After saying that, he turned the handle and the speed suddenly increased. Ah, slow down. Lucy was excited and screamed, hugging Knight tightly, and never dared to let go. Just as Knight was carrying Lucy back to Magnolia, some underground facility, similar to a research institute. One of the bases of the Dark Guild, Oración Cis. This magic is really interesting, a masterpiece of genius. The man codenamed Head is named Brain. This person has dark skin, white hair, and wears a coat. He holds a skull wand in his left hand. Really, I just think it's fun. Anger, the only female among the 6 demons, sits at the table and plays mahjong on the internet. One of the matched opponents is called Traveler on the Departure. He plays cards very slowly every time and pauses for a long time from time to time. I don't know what he is doing. He doesn't take mahjong seriously. Money is the most important thing in this world. If you can't make money, there is no point. He flipped through the forum with his hot eyes and quickly browsed the information on the forum. You can make money, and you can make a lot of money. Those people in the regular guild have opened online commission. Isn't it easy to make money? Poison Dragon Slayer, Poison Dragon, Cobra sneered. The person who developed this magic, but didn't take this action, is really stupid. Shut up. Leader, Brain shook his head and said, he is much smarter than you. If I were him, I would also adopt this strategy, just like fishing. Attract all the magicians first, and when the time is right, you can harvest them naturally. However, compared to making money, it is a trivial matter. The magic of the internet itself is more concerned. Brain praised. Magic letters, reading, ancient documents, taking photos, etc. An internet magic almost encompasses the essence of many magics. Amazing, really amazing. And what's more terrifying is the coverage of this magic. As he said, he opened the chat group. 6 Magic chat group. Leader, Lissa, where are you? The world's fastest. I have left the Kingdom of Fury a long time ago, and I can't see the limit yet. See, Brain grinned. With such a huge coverage, what magic can compete with it? Magic Pigeon. Indeed, this magic can store people's images, including the content of their speech, and then send them to the target thousands of miles away. But this takes time, and the internet is instant communication. Then, what about telepathy? The telepathy of a general wizard cannot even cover a city. The more objects are linked, the more magic power is consumed. It is simply impossible to support long-term simultaneous communication between multiple people. Even for him, his telepathy cannot exceed the distance of a city. In comparison, the internet easily covers a country. Leader, come back. I suspect that the coverage of this magic can cover the entire continent, so there is no need to test it. Closing square bracket. The world's fastest. Understood. Closing square bracket. Isn't this a bit subversive of the common sense of magic? And Gear looked up, his face full of confusion. Such a large range, what kind of magic is supporting it? Even Zirf can't be resurrected. Brain narrowed his eyes and did not answer in silence. He didn't know either. He tried to use analytical magic to crack the deep magic principle of the internet, but failed, and could not parse out any useful information at all. He also tried to track the flow of magic power and find the real location of the magic network, but found nothing. If the magic network interface did not exist in front of him, Brain would even doubt whether the magic network existed. Thinking about the research in the past few days, Brain said in a deep voice. When I was the director of the Magic Development Bureau, I created hundreds of magics. But compared with the internet, it's nothing. We must find him, the founder of the magic network. I need his power. Hearing this, the 3-6 demons looked at each other and squeezed to look at the sleeping Midnight. Midnight didn't wake up, just sat cross-legged on the flying carpet, lowered his head and slept. Brain snorted coldly. You go, Hot Eyes. The magic network can help you make money. After a pause, he said, no, in order to ensure the smooth progress of the mission, let Lisa go with you. I understand, as long as you can make money. In this world, money is everything. Hot Eyes turned off the magic network and turned to leave this base. Are you going to send 2-6 demons? Cobra thought in amazement, touched the cobra beside him, and listened to the leader's voice. 0. The internet is too bright. I want to create the internet of the dark world, Darknet. For this, I need your power. Night. It has been a week since I visited Lucis' house. Night stretched and walked out of the guild in a good mood. There is a tool man's thought body to help him write code, and in 10 days or so, Magic Network Express will be completed. For this reason, Night also rented a house for the tool man to live in. It is just on the outskirts of the city, and the rent is only 50,000 J. The thought body does not need to eat, and the work efficiency is very good. It can write code for 20 hours a day, and the remaining 4 hours are reserved for hibernation. However, despite this, Night is actually doing 2 things at the same time, and he has to distract himself to control the other party. Of course, Night himself is not idle, and he uses the library to learn new magic knowledge every day. The convenience of the library is reflected in that there is no need to worry about not having magic to learn, but only regrets that there is not enough time. 7 days passed like this. Night's magic power has been smoothly upgraded from 3 stars to 4 stars. It can be said to be a rocket-like speed, which is almost the same as Urza. Magic power. *****. When Magic Web Express is developed, I will probably be able to reach 5 stars. Night is very satisfied with the speed of his magic power improvement. Who would want to meditate when they can level up lying down? Suddenly, in the night, a figure flashed in front. When Night captured the other party's movements with his 6 eyes, the person had already come behind him, and the speed was incredible. What a rare guest, a member of Oración Cis, dared to come here. 058 is a sideshow, your magic is quite interesting. Lisa, or Laser. One of the members of the Dark Guild Oración Cis. Night saw the person behind him through his 6 eyes and easily recognized him. This person had yellow coxcomb hair, a pair of windproof sunglasses on his nose bridge, and a long and pointed nose. Mainly because of this long nose, Night could immediately identify him. As a member of the Dark Guild, he dared to appear in Magnolia City, which surprised Night. It seemed to be coming for him. Sure enough, the other party opened his mouth and invited. Night, the wizard of fairy tale, the pioneer of the magic internet, is good at using vibration magic. Right. Lisa posed coolly, did not take action immediately, but made a friendly invitation. Our leader wants to invite you to be a guest. Be a guest. Night turned slowly and smiled. Excuse me, I hate trouble the most. I don't like standing when I can lie down, and I don't want to go far away when I can stay at home. After a pause, why don't you let your leader come to see me? Hearing this, Lisa sighed. He knew it wouldn't be that simple. If possible, he really didn't want to fight in such a place. After all, this is Magnolia, the headquarters of the regular guild fairy tale. Making a big noise will soon attract a group of fairies. Ordinary members are not afraid, but they are afraid of attracting Makarov. 3 seconds. Lisa stretched out 3 fingers, and the moment he said it, he had disappeared from the spot. His speed was very fast, far exceeding the dynamic vision of ordinary people. But Night's 6 eyes can still capture the opponent's movement trajectory. It feels like supersonic movement, but there is no sonic boom. In less than 0.1 second, Lisa went around behind Night and raised his right leg to sweep Night's head. Night tilted his head slightly forward, and the kick almost brushed his hair. Lisa was shocked, and her right kick missed, so she used her left leg to kick. However, this time, Knight still dodged it easily. Knight just took a half step forward, turned around, and dodged accurately. Your magic is interesting. What happened? It was obviously not a coincidence that he missed the target twice in a row. Lisa quickly retreated, pulled away, and looked at Knight in doubt. When he met the pair of eyes, he had some guesses in his heart. Eye magic. Knight said gently with a smile, "Don't be anxious, 6 demons, why don't you sit down and have a good chat? What does your leader want from me? You will know when you go. Don't worry, nothing will happen to you, at least your safety can be guaranteed." Lisa snorted and approached again. He didn't believe that anyone could react accurately every time when facing his speed. Knight didn't want to fight with the other party in the city. It would be easy to cause damage if he used a little trick. He would have to pay money at that time. With a thought, he flew up, 10 meters above the ground, and avoided Lisa's attack again. "Change to another place, can you keep up?" Knight chuckled, and his magic power burst out, turning into a beam of golden light and flying towards the outskirts of the city. "Can it still fly?" Lisa looked up in astonishment, and without thinking too much, he immediately chased after it. As for the leader of the 6 demons, Knight knew that the other party was called Brain, and he was a very strong wizard. This person has 2 personalities. The outer personality loves magic knowledge. He once served as the director of the Magic Development Bureau and created many magics. He was the one who deceived Uru. The inner personality is the real president of Audiobook and loves complete destruction. The inner personality is too vicious and his magic power is strong enough to rival the 10 holy magicians. Therefore, Brain usually uses the magic, living connection, to seal the inner personality. The objects of connection are the 6 people of Audiobook. Only when all 6 people are defeated will the seal be lifted and Brain's personality will awaken. Recalling the corresponding information in his mind, Knight has already flown to the eastern forest. Too slow. On the branch of a big tree, Lisa has arrived first. He held the trunk with one hand, and the height he stood at was just the same as Knight flying in the air. "You'd better come down." Lisa bent her knees slightly and suddenly shot up. After approaching Knight, he performed a big roundhouse kick in the air. Knight just raised his hand. Boom! With a dull sound, Knight grabbed the opponent's ankle with one hand, and then threw it downward. As Lisa fell, he quickly stabilized his body's center of gravity. After his legs landed on the ground, his knees were slightly bent. Red field. A red magic circle appeared under his feet, and Lisa's speed doubled, rising from the ground. This time, the speed was almost twice as fast. He circled behind Knight like lightning, and kicked him again. However, Knight's body was covered by a milky white magic shield. When this kick hit the magic shield, Lisa's face changed, and a vibration force blocked his kicking skill in the air. The next moment, the vibration broke out. The strong impact was like a giant's hand, and a big dice slapped him to the ground, and with a bang, a cloud of dust was smashed. "You are really a fool. Your magic is interesting, but it is meaningless in front of these eyes." Knight still stood in the air, looking down at the other party leisurely, and said casually, "Reduce the opponent's physical speed within a certain range, so that you can look very fast, but the weakness is too obvious. First, it only reduces the physical sensation, and cannot weaken the opponent's physical reaction. Second, because it does not increase your own speed, your speed cannot be converted into strength, and the attack power of your moves is very weak. Third, my 6 eyes have a full view. In front of these eyes, your magic is just a sideshow for me." As he said, Knight showed a look of disgust. "To be honest, I'm tired of watching it." "How is this possible?" Lisa's forehead was covered with cold sweat, and a chill rose from the soles of his feet. He looked up at Knight, and 4.0 showed a strong sense of shaken emotion. In just a short time, his magic was seen through. Nothing else, right? Knight raised his right hand, and a small white light spot was born in the palm of his hand. With the continuous input of magic power, the light spot expanded rapidly and turned into a vibration ball. The vibration in the ball was extremely compressed, and when it reached a critical point, it was suddenly thrown downward. It's time to go. The vibration ball fell downward and continued to expand during the flight. When it was a few meters above Lisa's head, it exploded. Boom! A deafening explosion, a ball of white light shone brightly in a corner of the eastern forest under the night sky. The wind and waves caused by the explosion were like a typhoon passing through, uprooting the surrounding trees. For a moment, the sky and the earth shook. 059 Voldemort reappears, Brain is shocked. The hurricane caused by the explosion blew Knight's clothes. Knight could clearly see the flow of magic power under the ground through the white light. So there is another one. After a while, the aftermath dissipated. In the devastated forest, a pit with a diameter of tens of meters appeared. There was no trace of Lisa in the hole. Knight was not surprised by this. When the explosion just now, the ground suddenly softened, swallowing people like a quagmire. Knight recalled for a moment and remembered that one of the 6 demons used earth magic. What was it called? Hotai. Hot eyes. Forget it. Anyway, the flying thunder god mark has been left. Knight was too lazy to chase them. At the same time, several kilometers away from the eastern forest, at the foot of a hidden mountain, the ground squirmed and opened its mouth, spitting out 2 figures. Lisa's head was covered with blood and he was panting rapidly. Thanks to your magic, otherwise I might have been finished. He half squatted, one hand on the ground, the other hand covering his forehead and cursing in a low voice. 28. Damn, that person is like you, mastering a powerful eye magic, and my slow magic was easily seen through by him. Before coming, I didn't expect this to happen. The original plan was very simple, taking advantage of the night to intercept the Lord of the Magic Network. It would be best if the verbal invitation was successful. If not, use brute force to take the person away. So, he was the one who took action. With extreme speed, even if he was exposed, he could escape at the first time. Unexpectedly, he didn't fight. No, it's not that he didn't fight, but he was fooled. It seems that the information is wrong. Hot Eyes held a Bible and wore a priest's robe. He was tall and fat, with big orange wavy curls scattered behind him, and a soft beard on his chin. The most unique thing is that his face is angular and the corners are square. Retreat first. The movement just now has been exposed. Lisa stood up while panting, resisting the injuries all over her body and evacuating quickly. Rayon followed the footsteps and opened the chat group at the same time, reporting the failure of the mission to Brain as soon as possible. 6 Demons chat group. Money first. The mission failed, the target's strength far exceeded expectations. Leader, what? Like an angel. It actually failed. Listen to everything. 2 people also failed. You have already lost the face of the 6 demons. The world's fastest. Don't talk nonsense. If you have the ability, try it yourself. The world's fastest. I was almost killed. It's not a face-to-face communication, so it's natural to quarrel. And as the leader, Brain seemed to be invisible. A corner of the eastern forest. Knight slowly landed on the ground from a height. Where did the Mohawk head wear a ring on his finger just now? Thinking for a moment, Knight quickly guessed. After resolving the lullaby incident, a captain of the council's compulsory restraint force bought 15 magic rings from him. Later, when escorting Eisenwald and others back, they were defeated by Angear of the 6 demons. The rings were probably stolen at that time. Are you looking for me to buy more rings? Knight shook his head. Just bring money to buy rings. Why fight and kill? It's not like he won't sell them. He still has more than 2,000 magic net rings in his hands, and he is worried about where to sell them. He immediately opened the internet to try to find Brain's account. Many people like to use their real names to go online, maybe the 6 demons do too. He searched for Brain, but didn't find it. After thinking about it, he searched for leader. He actually found it. Knight was surprised that they could actually find it. These black magicians really have no sense of security. Have you ever been exposed online? So cute. Is it the real person? After thinking for a while, Knight did not contact the other party with Sigma Man but activated the Smurf. Add the other party as a friend and attach a message. Brain. ... The base of oración cease. Brain frowned and looked at the group chat. Lisa and Hot Eyes performed a mission together, but failed. It seems that he is not only a genius in developing magic, but also a powerful magician. Are the news about the developer on the forum all fake? Brain looked grim. There are posts discussing the developer on the Magic Network forum, and Knight's identity is clear. A new magician of fairy tale, who joined not long ago and is good at vibration magic. Rumor has it that he is also a handsome guy. Huh. Suddenly, a friend request flashed in the upper right corner of the interface. Brain clicked it and was slightly surprised. Applicant, Voldemort. Message, Brain, this guy actually knows my identity. Who is he? Brain's face darkened. There are a large number of regular guild wizards gathered on the Magic Network. Except for the idiot Aragorn, few black wizards reveal their identities. Now that his identity has been revealed, he feels a sense of panic for no reason. It's as if someone took off his clothes and stood naked on the street. Voldemort, who is this guy? Brain knows this name, and he also read Natsu's post about the whereabouts of the dragon. In this era, the dragon has disappeared. But Voldemort told others with certainty that the dragon is in the Dragon Slayer. It is obvious that he is not an ordinary person to know such secret information. And judging from the nickname, he doesn't seem to be a good thing. It is likely that he is a black wizard like him. From the Devil's Heart, or Tartaros. 670. It. While thinking, Brain agreed to the friend request. Soon a private message came. Voldemort, it seems that you are indeed the leader of the 6 demons. Closing square bracket. Leader, who are you? Brain neither admitted nor denied. The other party took the initiative to add him as a friend, and also said his name. Obviously he had some information. He didn't know where he was exposed. Voldemort, I know, Brain, you are looking for Nirvana. Instantly, Brain was sweating profusely. He stared at the private chat interface, feeling an inexplicable fear in his heart. Who the hell is this damn B*****************? D. Leader, where did you know the name, Nirvana? Leader, tell me, who are you? Brain wanted to go along the magic net and see the other party's face with his own eyes. Voldemort, I am Zirf. Closing square bracket. Leader, do you think I will believe it? Voldemort, haha, then why do you ask? Voldemort, in the world of the magic net, people like us have secret identities. Asking others casually is itself a kind of rudeness. Leader, how do you know my identity? Brain's face was gloomy. Is there a traitor among the 6 demons? He stared at the private chat and waited. After a while, the other party sent a call, but the content surprised him. Voldemort, I know where Nirvana is. 060 Ortia is here. On 4 quarters. I know where Nirvana is. Closing square bracket. Brain was shocked when he saw the message from Voldemort. He even knew such a thing. He was more concerned about Voldemort's true identity. Leader, you know, Voldemort, in the sea of gas trees. Closing square bracket. Brain was just asking tentatively, but he didn't expect the other party to actually tell him. Voldemort, no need to thank me, I'm going there soon. Closing square bracket. Brain's face changed drastically when he saw this. Could this person also have his eyes on Nirvana? No, if that's the case, the other party wouldn't have the time to tell him. But no matter what, Nirvana must be obtained before this person. Thinking of this, Brain immediately switched to the chat group. In the group, Lisa and Cobra were still arguing. Leader, enough. Leader, since the mission failed, you two should come back first. Leader, there are more important things to do. Knight looked at the other party who had not responded and shook his head. Are you anxious? It's okay if you're anxious. Why bother him when there's nothing to do? Go find your Nirvana. Divert the trouble. As long as Oración Cease starts to act, the council will soon be able to catch their whereabouts. Speaking of which, Nirvana is also a super magic. I'll go and take a look if I have a chance. Knight thought. A super magic that replaces light and darkness. Knight has no interest in this power itself, but he is curious about the magic knowledge contained in it. Finally, he took a look at the forest he destroyed and turned to leave. Run quickly. An elderly lady named Palukka lives in this place. If she knows that it was him who caused the destruction, she might scold him. Back to the apartment. Knight opened the guild group, and the group was indeed discussing the previous movement. Gray, I heard a bang, and then saw a strong white light. Closing square bracket. Macau, I heard it too, from the direction of the eastern forest. Loki, what's going on? Urza, that wave of magic, is it Knight? At Sigma Man. Mirajan, at Sigma Man, what happened? Seeing a group of people at Ingham, Knight had to show up to explain. Sigma Man, met a member of Oraciones and had a fight with him. Wakaba, happy, it's a black guy. Elfman, what? Oraciones, one of the Balam Alliance. Mirajan, are you okay, Knight? Are you injured? Sigma Man, no problem, I've already beaten him away. Lucy, what is Balam Alliance? Confused.jpg. Urza, our regular guild has a guild alliance, and the Dark Guild also has a corresponding organization. Kana, Balam Alliance is a force in the Dark World, composed of the 3 strongest Dark Guilds. Closing square bracket. Levi, Oraciones, Grimoire Heart, Tartaros, these 3 Dark Guilds all have a large number of directly affiliated guilds, which control the entire Dark World. 1. Evergreen, although we are allies, we are not in a cooperative relationship. We just don't confront each other and try not to conflict. Really, don't the newcomers nowadays even know this? Mirajan, by the way, Lucy, the Eisenwald that you defeated last time is the guild under Oraciones. Lucy, I'm sorry that I don't know anything. Lucy, it was Knight and his team who defeated Eisenwald. I didn't do anything. Happy, love, Lucy just went on a trip. Lucy, stop talking nonsense, stinky cat. Knock on the head.jpg. Because of Lucy's question, the chat in the group suddenly went off topic. Knight shook his head and prepared to take a shower and go to bed. At this time, Makarov sent a private message. Fairy Tale Patriarch. Knight, you were attacked by the 6 demons. What happened exactly? I didn't expect the old man to be lurking as well. Knight thought for a moment and replied, I don't know what their purpose is, but it seems they are targeting me. Probably because of the internet, maybe they want to steal the ring. Fairy Tale Patriarch. I'm glad you're okay. Recently, the council notified all the guilds to pay attention to the whereabouts of Oraciones. I will inform them of what happened tonight. Notify the council. Knight raised his eyebrows and immediately thought of Urtia. I might as well send her a private message. Urtia's name is Gray, showing offline. But after sending the message, she came online soon. Witch of Pain, she actually took the initiative to send a message to me. I'm really touched. Closing square bracket. Witch of Pain, did the people of Oraciones attack you? Are you injured? Do you want a hug from me? Hug.jpg. Sigma Man, the point is Oraciones. Isn't the council trying to find their whereabouts? Witch of Pain, it seems that you are fine. I'm relieved. Closing square bracket. Witch of Pain, if you were injured, you would definitely say, Sister, why don't you send me some private photos to comfort my wounded heart? Closing square bracket. You are so dramatic. Knight thought with amusement and chose to cooperate with him. Sigma Man, Sister, why don't you send me some selfies to comfort my wounded heart? Closing square bracket. Then he sent the photos right away. He must have prepared them in advance. The photos this time are more exciting than before. Urtia was wearing only a pair of white panties, sitting in front of a full-length mirror in a duck-like position. One hand covered her face, and the other hand covered the fruit on her chest. Knight clicked to collect it quickly. Witch of Pain, is my sister beautiful? Shy.jpg. Sigma Man, it's your fault that I can't sleep at night. Witch of Pain, oh, there are still a few photos, do you want to post them? Thinking.jpg. Damn it, tempting him every night. Knight thought, The quality of sleep has been bad recently, all because of this woman. I might as well change my name to Succubus. But the fingers are very honest. Sigma Man. Sister is so beautiful. Smile.jpg. Witch of Pain. Yeah, then sister is going to sleep. I will bring up the matter of you being attacked by the 6 demons at the council meeting, don't worry. Bye.jpg. No, where are the photos? You ran away now. Knight was speechless. Stinky woman, you wait, you will have a good time. After a few minutes, Ortia came online again and sent another photo. Witch of Pain. Good night, naughty tongue sticking out. .jpg. After sending it, she immediately went offline. Knight enlarged the photo. It was similar to the pose in the previous private photo. But this time, the hand covering the face was placed between the legs. This time she was really wearing nothing. This kind of photo that looks like she is not wearing anything but is not exposed is really exciting. The next day, when Knight walked into the guild, it was already past 1 in the afternoon. Quote. Good morning, Mira. Knight yawned and sat down at the bar out of habit. It's noon now. Mira smiled helplessly. Is Knight also developing new features recently? He looks very tired. It's all Ortia's fault. She sends him some private photos every night. Knight is also helpless about this. If you don't watch it, you will feel bad. If you watch it, you will be tortured by hormones at night. It's a function that I'm developing recently. Just wait a while. Knight responded with a smile. Thank you for your hard work, but staying up late is not good for your health. Mirajan's smile is as healing as always. If Ortia is a witch, Zella is an angel. She walked into the kitchen and came back with a delicious meal after a while. Knight was not polite to her. He never paid for meals in the guild. Mira always paid for them. The two chatted and time passed unknowingly. Suddenly, uniform footsteps came from outside the guild. It's the army of the council. Elfman put down his glass and looked at the knight outside the door in astonishment. Rune Knight G. The tavern suddenly became quiet, and the guild members looked at the door. Excuse me, is Knight here? In front of the knights holding spears, Ortia put one hand on her waist and smiled. I am one of the counselors, Ortia. I came to investigate about Oracion Cease Country First Level. Hearing this familiar voice, Knight turned around and was immediately shocked. Ortia, she is here. Thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese Novel Audiobook to stay updated with our latest stories. And never miss out on a great listen.